the maternal father of the Pokémon world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126, Itinerary. After Eminem arranged the special training for Pixie and Cassie, the team composition of the 9 Pokémon gradually became clear among them. Pixie and Cassie are responsible for hitting the missed goal. Once encountering an opponent who is not sure about Eminem and good at physical attack and defense, Cassie can attack by surprise, and Pixie is good at touching porcelain. After mastering the Heaven and Earth tongue Shaoquin, you can deal with those opponents who are very strong, but hesitant in tactics. Of course, Pixie can also play in normal times. Material. Attack Pykexi is only the 2nd floor, and Heaven and Earth tongue Xiao Pykexi is the 5th floor. Among the other 7 Pokémon, Ditto and Naughty Thunderbolt tend to be assistant. Frog Flower and Coconut Tree can use sunny tactics. Coconut Tree and Iron Armored Rhino can use space tactics. Jinga and Nidoking are relatively universal attacker. Duan. When a lion comes back later, you remember to practice and cooperate with it. Amu emphasized emphatically. Ironclad Rhinoceros, Evolved Ironclad Tyrannosaurus, and Super Armored Rhino are both ground plus rock dual element, which are 4 times restrained by grass and water. Once you encounter a strong attack with grass and water, special attack skills hand. Easy to be killed in seconds. However, the poison plus grass Maiaha has a single resistance to water and double resistance to grass, which can just form a joint defense point. If Arduin encounters a Pokémon that can instantly kill him, as long as the opponent makes a move, replace a lion to pick up the skill, plus Amu's own weakened version of regeneration. Rounding up is a harmless substitution, effective. Protect the output hand point from then until night. Eminem was in the fighting club, regulating their training. The main Eminem was also trying, and at the same time used, animal senses, to connect 2 Pokémon. If successful, the efficiency of Pokémon learning skills from each other will be greatly improved. But one-on-one is okay. If 3 are together, it needs some skills, and Eminem is still trying. At 5 o'clock in the evening, Eminem left the battle club and came to Hija's house. At this time, Zyuksha had already come with Sonoko and the others, and Aunt Yinzi was also there, and Amu also saw Hija's father, a house husband. At this time, I'm not bragging, my dad's cooking is absolutely top notch. He can be called the dinner king. Hiji said proudly. Well, it is indeed delicious, but, just looking at the appearance, Hija's ferocious looking father is more like a Junsha professional. Not long after dinner, Yumi, who was on duty, also came. If someone else asked her, Yumi would probably skip work for a while and arrive on time, but her aunt, the head of the department, invited her to be a guest, so she had to come back after get off work. Seeing that there was no one else besides these familiar faces, Eminem was also relieved. At least there is no need to worry, and someone will fall down with the smell of bitter almonds later. Aunt Jinghua said that she wanted to entertain friends from Hiji, especially this time to solve the case, and Eminem and Conan also helped. But because of the auras of Aunt Jinghua and Aunt Yinzi, even Yumi was somewhat restrained. Hiji was very relaxed at first, but after noticing that Aunt Jinko glanced at herself and Kazuha sitting next to her, she also became uncomfortable. As for Hiyi, even in front of Aunt Jinghua, she tried her best to behave like a lady, let alone let it go. Yumi also pretended that she didn't know how to drink because of the presence of a leader. In order to ease the atmosphere, Aunt Jinghua, as an elder, also cared about everyone's future plans. We're going to Ramperky, Yuanzi immediately said excitedly. But Xiaolan reminded from the side, we must first be on the road and complete the practical homework. Upon hearing homework, Yuanzi lowered his head again. Lan. Puerki, then I wish you a good time. Aunt Jinghua defaulted that they were there to play. After all, Rampa was originally a famous resort area, not far from Deadleaf City. In Deadleaf Bay, it is very suitable for surfing and diving beginners, and has a large beach. Yuanzi is indeed going to play, but it seems that they have other homework on the way. Zyuksha and I are already planning to go directly to Deadly City, and we will book tickets tomorrow. You and Zyraksha have already discussed it. Zyraksha wants to go directly to the seaside of Deadly City, and Eminem also plans to concentrate on training for a period of time. The two of them decided to buy air tickets and fly directly to Deadly City. Hey, aren't you going to Rainbow City? Yuanzi asked in surprise. I plan to go again in July, Eminem said confidently. You're really confident? Sonoko sighed, seeing that Auntie G and Aunt Jinghua still didn't understand, so she explained, this person is preparing to take the expert pharmacist exam in mid-July, and he is still a pharmacist. I swear that it will pass. Well, it's late May now. Yuanzi originally thought that Eminem would go directly to Rainbow City to start preparing for the exam point, but now it seems that Eminem has no intention of preparing for the exam. At most, he is just half a month in advance to calm down and find his status. People who knew this for the first time looked at Eminem in surprise. If you have enough ability to pass the examination of an expert pharmacist, you will definitely pass if you don't make mistakes. If you don't have enough ability, it's useless to prepare for the exam. Amu said modestly, we estimate that it will take half a month before we arrive at Lanperki. In July, we will also go to Rainbow City to cheer for you. Yuanzi said solemnly. Well, by the way, I'll cheer on your final exam, Eminem said with a smile. Seeing Eminem's smile, Sonoko sticks out her tongue in embarrassment. Yes, going to Rainbow City is more for the final exam. Otherwise, the pharmacist exam is nothing to cheer for. It's not a competition, just to go to the exam and take a look at Eminem's exam results. At least I can hold a celebration party for you, Yuanzi said forcefully. Rainbow City is the central city of the Kanto region, but it is inferior to Golden City in terms of area and population. If you mention the 6 major cities, you don't count Rainbow City. If you talk about the 7 major cities, you include Rainbow City. However, it is customary to refer to the other 6 as large cities, and Rainbow City as the central city point, because this is the era of the Alliance. The development of the Viridian Forest and the expanded city are intended to communicate with the East and West Kanto, otherwise the East and West passes will be completely isolated by the Viridian Forest and Kanto Bay. On the whole, the East is more important than the West. Not only are there only 2 large cities in the West, but also in history. After all, the East is the land of fire and thunder, and the West is the land of earth and wind. It is clear at a glance who is rich and who is poor. The creation of Rainbow City was originally positioned as the core of Kanto. However, due to the consideration of protecting the habitat of Pokémon, Viridian Forest has not been developed for nearly 30 years, and the scale of Rainbow City has not expanded. In addition to geographical reasons, it was also because of the Quartz Alliance. Later, in order to strengthen the connection between the 2 major regions of Kanto and Johto, the headquarters of the 2 regional alliances were located on the Quartz Plateau between the 2, although the traffic is inconvenient. This also caused the status of Rainbow City, which was originally positioned as the core of Kanto, to drop a lot. What Sakaji is pushing is to move the center back to Rainbow City after becoming the champion of the Kanto area, so the Rockets have a lot of business here. Lanperki. Then my 6th badge. I will go to the gymnasium of Lanperki in late June. Zyraksha decided at this time. Eminem didn't object when she heard the words, because Zyraksha didn't challenge the Golden Gym, so she is now 1 badge behind Eminem. As for the badges behind Amu, they have basically been determined. After going to Deadly City, they will definitely challenge the gymnasium. You can take a look back at Sangzhou town on the way, and the last 8th coin must go to Hualan City designated by Mr. Jumu. Chapter 127. Union 200, May 25th. M and Zyraksha came out of the airport in Deadly City and went straight to the Pokémon Center. This is the first time Eminem has used long distance transportation during his trip. After all, the team is almost formed and the Pokémon have not yet reached the bottleneck. What Eminem lacks now is intensive training. When I came to the Pokémon Center, when I was registering, AMT asked, "Hello, this is my first time in Deadly City. Is there any large-scale breeding house here?" The main business is to deposit Pokémon. Breeding houses generally have two major business projects. One is to foster Pokémon, and the other is to sell Pokémon. After breeding point, the breeding house is too small, and Eminem is worried that the blow will be too heavy. Hello, Mr. Eminem. If you want to foster Pokémon, I personally suggest that you go to the Security Research Institute. Dr. Security has just opened a research institute in Deadly City to accept Pokémon. If Dr. Mew needs your Pokémon to cooperate in the research, he will sign a special cooperation agreement. The lady at the front desk of the Pokémon Center handed back the registered illustration book while talking. Institute? Thank you. Eminem thanked him with bright eyes. What if that Dr. Security likes to study Jenga and Picosi? I'm the ultra rare Jenga and Picosi. How is it? Are you going to the Security Research Institute? Leixi also opened the room at this time, just in time to hear the conversation on Mew's side. Well, I'll go and see in a while if I can bind the foster care place of Genji and Pixie to Dr. Security. Eminem is looking forward to this now. Genji and Pixie are bound to the Jumu Research Institute, but Teacher Jumu has forbidden them to go, so Eminem can only keep them with him. You going with me? Eminem asked. Leixi thought for a while and said, forget it. Then you go to the research institute in the afternoon, and I'll go to the pier to see if I can rent a boat. When she came to Deadly City, Leixi was preparing to go to sea. Now she only has 6 Pokémon, so she is not very flexible in tactics. After the two had a free lunch together, they split up. Although there is a word coup in Kuai City, it is actually very prosperous in the Kanto area. The city with the largest population and area is Jinhuang City, followed by Deadleaf City, and Deadleaf City looks even more prosperous, although the name seems to be that Uolan City is more related to the sea. But Kuai City is the largest port in the Kanto area, so the business is very developed. One reason is that Uolan City's seaside is facing the Huolan Strait that flows into the inland. You can't even see the endless sea in the urban area. You have to go to the Huolan Wharf in the northeast direction to see the open sea, and the Deadleaf City in the south is not only facing the sea, but the Deadleaf Bay is also the deepest part of Kanto Bay, so it can be said to be calm. Secondly, if you go to sea from Huolan City, the only routes that are close to the north are the routes to Shinao and the long distance routes to the Hezhang area. The entire Kanto area and the eastern coastline are mostly facing the mountains. No matter how land is transported, and starting from Kuai City, to the west is the Chengdu area, to the south is the Orange Islands, and to the southwest is the Fingyuan area, which can be described as extending in all directions. On the way to Security Research Institute, Eminem saw the prosperity of Deadleaf City, and also passed by the official gymnasium of Deadleaf City. The former official gymnasium owner of Deadleaf City was at Mazishi, because of too many complaints in the past. He has now been disqualified from the official gymnasium, and Mazishi simply sold his own gymnasium to the current Golden Gymnasium owner. The owner of the Gold Gym is also an electric trainer. After Mazishi, he obtained the official gym qualification of Deadleaf City, so the official gym has not moved and is still at the original location. The owner of the Golden Pavilion is in his early 30s this year. Eminem doesn't have much impression of him. He should not be a character in the original work. However, as the owner of one of the most important 8 avenues, the owner of the Golden Pavilion is naturally not weak. Not only has the strength of a heaven leaking, but he is also famous. He has a lightning bird. Although it is just a lightning bird cub, it is not one of the 3 sacred birds that can really change the sky. But the theoretical race value also has 1200 points. And it is a standard level 100 like a divine beast. With the addition of various individual values and growth values, the ordinary king level Pokémon is no match. Of course, the strength of the divine beast generally has little to do with the divine beast trainer, and it cannot be said to be conquered. It can only be said that the divine beast temporarily follows the divine beast trainer. For some reason. When our Mew passed by the gymnasium, he saw a lightning bird specially painted on the logo of the gymnasium. Eminem is also curious about divine beasts. After all, according to Dandy's standard, Being followed by a divine beast is the same as winning a championship and both can be regarded as excellent trainers. But Armu just thought about it. Even if he went to challenge the Withered Leaf Gym, it is impossible to see the lightning bird. After passing the Dead Leaf Gym, Eminem rode an armored rhinoceros and continued towards the outskirts of the city, arriving in front of the Security Research Institute. Security Research Institute is different from Damu Research Institute and Jumu Research Institute. The main building looks very ancient, but it is also different from the orphanage in Jinhuang City. It belongs to the kind of ancient style that is not dilapidated, and it is not really very old. Because there are still a large area where Pokémon are released. It is located near the outskirts of the city. It's Eminem. As soon as Armu reached the door, he heard a familiar voice. Turning around, it was Zyro Zhi, Zyro Gang, Zyro Heyo, and a girl whom Armu didn't know. This unknown girl has burgundy fluffy long hair and looks dressed. It seems that Zyozzy and the others have just arrived, and this girl is not like traveling together. She looks very homely. What? A coincidence? Eminem said, just about to put away the armored rhinoceros, but at this moment, Zyro Zhi immediately jumped up, looking and touching around the armored rhino from left to right, and in circles, making Arduin roll his eyes endlessly. This is the armored rhinoceros? It's so handsome. I've only seen other people ride it before. Can I try it? Zyozzy said excitedly. No, this is still in the city. Eminem said that he obeyed the traffic rules. If you are in the wild, you don't need a certificate. That's right. Zyozzy smiled embarrassedly. By the way, what are you doing in Dr. Security's Research Institute? Zyozzy said in a tone that knew Dr. Security. And Eminem. I didn't remember it when I heard it before, but now I suddenly realized that this may be the doctor in the original journey. My Genji Ui and Pikexi need foster care. Well, Dr. Oki and Mr. Jumu are not very suitable for ghost type and fairy type Pokémon. Amu felt that he was not lying. They just make the same mistakes that ghosts and fairies make, and a little more serious. Chapter 128 Security Research Institute. Genji Ui. The red-haired girl suddenly confirmed with a startled voice. Yeah, what's the matter? Although Amu asked, she already knew the answer faintly in her heart. GUI of the ghost system. Can it really hide in the shadow of a person? The red-haired girl asked hesitantly. By the way, this is Zyana-chan, the daughter of Dr. Security, and this is Eminem, a very powerful pharmacist and trainer. He even beat me last time. Zyozzy introduced to both parties at this time. Online the label "I beat me last time" can't reflect great at all. Hi. Actually, my father's research institute has been haunted recently. Zyana-chan confided after hesitating. What? Haunted? It must be a ghost type Pokémon. Didn't I tell you, if you see a ghost, hit it with a Pokeball. If you can't spin the ball, just use a straight ball. Zyro how looked like he understood. Eminem despises such an inexplicable guy the most. Of course, if Genji Ui was outside, he would definitely complain about Eminem. Obviously you did the same. That's just right. Just now I want to leave Genji Ui and Pixie in foster care. If there are ghost type Pokémon, it will be easy to communicate with Genji Ui. Amu immediately said smoothly. MMM. Zyana-chan nodded reluctantly. It can be seen that she is actually a little afraid of ghost Pokémon. This kind of exorcism method of inviting ghosts to come to the door is not completely without grudges. However, Dr. Security has to decide whether he will accept foster care, but Zyana-chan estimates father will definitely agree. At this time, Ami also discovered that Zyro Zhi, who represents the original animation, has a messy timeline. First of all, he met Zyro Heyo just after traveling, and it's not just a problem of not teaming up with Zyroza. Of course, the timeline of the original work can't explain anything in the first place. Conan's timeline is also very messy, but like the previous Pokémon animations, it is still blurred anyway, and it is not impossible to talk about parallel time and space. However, in Pokémon Journey, Zyozzy has been upright, holding the Alola Championship trophy, Marzish's signature and memories of getting along with travel companions everywhere, but still with 10 appeared as a young boy. The persona of a 10-year-old boy who has traveled for 20 years was presented in a fair and square manner, with an attitude of I don't want to pretend anymore now in this real Pokémon world. Zyozzy meets Zyaheo as soon as he goes out. At least it is more reasonable than the timeline of Journey. And Zyaheo is also from Deadly City, and Zyahachan has known each other since childhood. Mew vaguely remembers that Zyozhi's main force Genji Ui in the Journey was subdued in Dr. Sakurage's research institute. The current haunting may also be due to this matter. Am doesn't know the specific situation. After all, Amu is just an orphan, and he doesn't see everything that well. And even if you have seen it, it won't help much. After all, the difference between this world and animation is still very big. Because of meeting Zyozzy, who met Dr. Sakuragi by chance, Eminem was also directly introduced to meet Dr. Sakuragi himself. Drive. Sakuragi looks much younger than Dr. Oki and teacher Jumu. She is not an old girl like Zyahachan. She has wine red hair, wears glasses, and looks gentle. Ah, you Eminem. I heard that Zyozzy and Dr. Oki have mentioned you. Drive. Sakurage's attitude made Eminem feel stable. You want to foster Jenga and Pikachu? Dr. Sakuragi really did the same thing, and when he heard about the Pokémon he was interested in, he couldn't care about anything else. That's right, they're really naughty, and I'm letting them train fire skills recently, so it's not very suitable for them to be fostered by my teacher, Dr. Jumu. Eminem was as honest as ever, without a single lie. It's okay. Ghost type and fairy type Pokémon. It's normal to be naughty. Can you let them out for me to see? Dr. Sakuragi said very sensibly. Now that Dr. Sakuragi has already said so, Eminem immediately released Jenga and Pixie. I saw two figures of the same size, both chubby, one purple and one pink, two cute creatures. After coming out at this time, they didn't speak, but their whole bodies were trembling regularly, and they were left and right, looking very cute. Ah, this is Ghost. It looks like. Zyahachan's impression of ghost type Pokémon was suddenly reversed. Because of the haunted thing before, she seemed to be treated badly, so she has a lot of opinions on ghost type Pokémon. Although Genji Ui's red eyes and evil smile are terrifying to see in a dark place, but in a bright place, it's completely different. At this moment, I saw Genji Ui and Pikachu holding hands and circling again, looking like they love each other and are friendly ambassadors. Slim Shady, you guys have had some fun. That's right, Eminem told them both before. Don't even think about it in the big garden. Mr. Jumu won't welcome you too. As for other places, you need to behave well, otherwise you will have to stay in the future in the Pokeball. For Pippi and Ghoststone, although they are not young, they still have a childish temper. After staying in the foster care place for a long time, I would like to travel with Eminem, mainly to take risks together. And after traveling for a long time, especially if I spend a long time in the Pokeball, I would like to go to foster care again. Place for mischief, enjoy life. So now they behave like ordinary Genji Ui and Pikachu according to what Eminem said, and they try to be as cute as possible, and they don't immediately expose their people's tricks. Isn't this very obedient? Ha ha ha. Dr. Sakuragi smiled innocently. Well, they can also help deal with the haunted things. Emmett said. This can be regarded as giving Genji Ui and Pixie some things to do, and by the way, reduce some of Eminem's guilt. Upon hearing the haunting, Genji Ui and Pikachu's originally cute eyes flickered for a moment. Zyahachan at the side faintly noticed this, but hesitated for a moment, and didn't say anything. So, you've heard about it, can you? That's really great. Dr. Sakuragi has also had a headache recently. Afterwards, Eminem knew that the so-called haunting actually started to appear after the house was bought. It should be the ghost type Pokémon who lived here before, but now Dr. Sakuragi has not confirmed that it is Jenga with the Research Institute transformation of the house basically completed. Sakuragi is also preparing to deal with the haunted matter. Now every floor, every room, and the pipes of the house have installed various air component detection devices. Sakuragi is sure to lock the location of the haunted Pokémon. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129 Signature. Mew. I've got 5 badges. Zhi showed the box with 5 badges to Mew. Well, it is still a limited box of the light red city gym. Yes, it's amazing. Eminem complimented without sincerity. How many pieces do you have now? Little Wisdom asked looking at our Mew. I only have 4. It's really too weak. Amu said with white eyes. Hahaha, don't say that. You can still work hard. Ozzy came over and patted Armu on the shoulder as if he had already won Armu. Slim Shady. It's a good thing he didn't know that he had won against Xiaomao. Otherwise Eminem felt that I'm 2 levels better than Xiaomao in his heart. Seeing Emu's speechlessness, Zio Gang reminded him Amu should have just arrived in Deadleaf City. That means he already wants to go to the Deadleaf Gymnasium to challenge for the 5th badge. Now the Deadleaf Gymnasium's the difficulty is normal, and with Eminem's strength, it will definitely be fine. Xiaozi also said at the side at this time, although the former owner of Marzishi was a little stricter, he was actually a good person. I don't know why he was dismissed by the Alliance. It was only then that Armu discovered that among Xiaozi's badges, the 2nd one belonged to Deadleaf City. It seems that he got the badge in a hurry before Marzishi was fired. Your gymnasium challenge. What is the route? Amu looked at Xiaozi suspiciously. Was it messed up in the Viridian Forest? Why is it sometimes in the East Kanto and sometimes in the West Kanto? Actually, you also know that I travel to meet more Pokémon, so I often go to Viridian Forest. Xiaozi was a little vague. Under Eminem's puzzled eyes, Xiaogang told the truth. So every time we enter the Viridian Forest, we don't know where we will come out from. Slim Shady. Guys, that makes sense then. Obviously, I have helped him reduce the amount of road idiots in the team. When you challenged the Withered Leaf Gym before, was Marzishi the gym leader? It is said that when he was the gym leader, he received a lot of complaints. Amu looked at Xiaozi in wonder. Well, it is true that the gym trainers at that time were very ruthless. But it is indeed for our growth. As long as we improve, they will let the challenge pass. By the way, after passing, they also presented horses, the signature of the owner of the Zishi Pavilion. Xiaozi said innocently. It's a pity that he doesn't open a breeding house. Otherwise Eminem will definitely foster all difficult Pokémon with him. Signature? Eminem looked at Xiaozi even more suspiciously. There is this signature in the original work. So many museum owners. Only Marzishi feels good about himself. But Xiaozi probably hasn't seen Marzishi now. He is fighting against other gym trainers. How can he get any autographs? Amu looked at Xiaogang and Xiaohao at this moment and saw the former laughing endlessly while the latter muttered softly, "No, that's because I bought the autograph of that bastard Marzishi for you." Huh? What did you say? Xiaozhi looked at Xiaohao innocently. Seeing this, Xiaohao twitched the corners of his mouth, then covered his face, and did not speak. Amu probably also understood that when Marzishi was the head of the official gymnasium, it was really outrageous. Not only is the trainer in the gymnasium ruthless Eminem suspects that some of the Rocket's minions are working part-time. In addition, this fellow also makes money well. Buying some high-priced commodities in the gymnasium will reduce the difficulty, which can be said to be they are selling badges in disguise. Xiaohao probably couldn't stand it anymore. Xiaozi thought that the Withered Leaf Gym was testing him at that time, and he devoted himself to practicing hard and challenged him again and again. So, quietly bought an autograph in Zyoz's name. Sure enough, Zyoz's practice has achieved results immediately. No wonder his official gym qualification was revoked. In addition to the internal reasons of the Rockets, Leixi, as the owner of the official gymnasium, has also made the Quartz Alliance intolerable. By the way, the new Deadleaf City Gymnasium is still an electrical system. Zyos said suddenly. Huh? What's the matter? Eminem looked bewildered. You tell me this, so let's fight. Let me help you hone your skills against electric type Pokémon. Zyos said enthusiastically. Pikachu wasn't sleepy at the moment. Electricity, isn't that it? Eminem still hesitated. This was not in his plan. And fighting against Zyos, although there is no harm, but Zyos belongs to the kind of trainer with strange talents and has the ability of suspected reversal power. Before we did singles 3 vs 3, this time we will doubles 4 vs 4. The 5th badge of the Withered Leaf Gymnasium is also a doubles challenge, right? Zyozhi had already made up his mind at this time. The appearance of the rules indeed. Most of the 4th, 5th, and 6th badges were challenged using the doubles rules because when the first 3 badges were issued, few challenged the doubles rules. After all, the first 3 badges corresponded to rookies, and the doubles rules it is more difficult. As for the Changpon Gymnasium, it belongs to a small group, and is stricter for newcomers. When challenging for 4, 5, or 6 badges later, considering that the newcomers have grown a bit, they should be forced to get out of the comfort zone of singles, so most gyms will assess the rules of doubles at this time. Of course, the 4th badge that Eminem got is from the Golden Gym, which belongs to very special rules. However, after Arjun became the owner of the gymnasium in the Deadleaf City, he paid attention to a square and stable, and the difficulty of each badge was not high or low, with the intention of restoring the image of the official gym and the Deadleaf. If you want to fight, you can use the field behind the research institute. Dr. Sakuragi said enthusiastically. Seeing that the atmosphere was already up, Eminem had no choice but to say, then let's test the results of our trip drive. Sakuragi seems to be really not busy. Perhaps the research institute has just been renovated and hasn't officially started researching anything yet. At this time, I'm still very enthusiastic to be a referee. Zyadachan was a bit uninterested in this and seemed to have no interest in Pokémon battles. So Dr. Sakuragi said, Zyadachan, there are foods that ghost type and fairy type Pokémon like to eat in the warehouse. You and Lionji help. Shall I take care of them? Lionji is Dr. Sakuragi's assistant, and he is very familiar with the Sakuragi family. Dr. Sakuragi looks like Genji Ui and Pikexi have been fostered here. Seeing this, Amu said with some embarrassment that the cost of foster care. What are you talking about? Didn't everyone agree to ask Genji Ui to help me find the haunted Pokémon? There is no cost. Ha ha ha. Dr. Sakuragi smiled heartily. Wait, do you need them in the battle? Zyos confirmed, that's not necessary. Amu felt that there was no need to be so serious before leaving. Amu gave Genji Ui and Pixie a veiled look, telling them not to mess around too much. Chapter 130 Doubles Duel. 4 on 4, Doubles Duel, Standard Game Rules. Both sides load the game ball. Dr. Sakuragi announced on the sidelines of the duel in the backyard of his research institute. Emu and Zyos, who were standing on both sides, were already ready at this time, and both took out the game ball. Pikachu. Zyos called out, pick up. As soon as Pikachu responded, Zyos temporarily retracted it into the ball, and then put the shrunken Pokeball into the 4-ball position of the game ball. Every time it comes up, it is revealed that Pikachu is going to be sent. Zioheo muttered quite critically off the court. On the other side, Eminem also put 4 elf balls into the game balls. In fact, he didn't choose much. After all, Genji Ui and Pixie had just fostered, and now Eminem has only these 4 elf balls. Let it go. The first Pokémon of both sides enter the field. The battle begins, accompanied by Dr. Sakuragi's announcement. The game ball between Zyos and Eminem flashed to raise at the same time. Then I saw Pikachu and Charizard appearing on Zyos' field. Pick up, boom. On Eminem's side, there are coconut egg trees and naughty thunder bombs. Coconut egg boom, Pikachu. was a little disappointed to see that there was no frog flower on Eminem's side, but he quickly aroused his fighting spirit. It can be seen that Pikachu and Zyozzy are still a little more mature, at least they didn't lightning flash when they came up again. A flash of lightning is not very powerful when used for direct attacks. It is usually harvested when the enemy is on the verge of losing the battle and fainting, or interrupts the enemy's skills, and can be used to avoid key skills after mastering it proficiently. As soon as it came up, there was a lightning flash, but the momentum was good looking. After all, this is not a high five surprise attack. As soon as Eminem came up, he started to be wretched. No, it was a tactical layout, and he didn't fight with the opponent. Boom. You're awesome. I saw Pikachu coming up and pounced on Naughty Thunderball, and Naughty Thunderball instinctively wanted to touch it first, but under Eminem's reminder, he started to swim instead. A yellow-skinned mouse and a piece of wood dumpling, each faster than the other, flew around the whole field. Eminem was also surprised that Pikachu's growth was not slow, and his moving speed was comparable to that of Boom. Between the two of them, they had already circled the field several times. The fire-breathing dragon and the coconut egg tree on the other side are also attacking by the opponent and dodging by us. The fire-breathing dragon was a bit arrogant at the beginning, but it swayed left and right in the coconut egg tree and dodged the opponent's attack with superpower interference. After that, the Charizard became visibly anxious. At the same time, in terms of skill preparation speed, Naughty Thunderbolt is obviously faster. After all, Naughty Thunderbolt's speed value is 150. Pikachu is only 90, and the level should not be as good as Naughty Thunderbolt. If Pikachu starts the skill first, Eminem really doubts Zypishin is on the hook. Boom. Cover everyone. At this moment, Naughty Laydan's whole body flashed with light, and then he and Coconut Egg Tree were all radiant. It was the ability to show love. Light Wall. It can effectively reduce the special damage received, and it can be effective against multiple targets on our side, but the more effective targets, the worse the effect will be. 2 targets are more practical. More importantly, Light Wall does not need the skill of succession and can be inherited by the next Pokémon naturally. On the opposite side are Pikachu and Charizard. Obviously, with a layer of Light Wall cover, Eminem has more tactical space. Pikachu, use Iron Tail on the coconut egg tree. Zyozzy ordered unexpectedly when Pikachu moved his position and approached the coconut egg tree. It can be seen that Pikachu was also a little surprised, but the tacit understanding made it react immediately. I saw Pikachu flicking his tail and drifting, not only flicking his tail happily, but also shone with a metallic luster. The target was the coconut tree that had just escaped the charge of the fire-breathing dragon. Although the coconut egg tree also reacted in time and formed a mental resistance around the body, it was still pulled on the head. 1. By this Iron Tail, egg. The coconut egg tree was crying out in pain, and Armu quickly shouted, "Amen. Be careful." It was the fire-breathing dragon that had already prepared its skills at this time, and without waiting for Zyozzy's command, the fire-breathing dragon retracted the dragon's claw immediately, and then the flames covered the entire right claw. Fire-breathing dragon, use the spray, flame claw. Zyozzy originally wanted to command, but just now he said jet, right? He actually wanted to jet flame, right? Zyozzy complained off the court. Unlike Zyo Gang, who thoughtfully pretended not to hear, Charizard uses flame claws. At this time, there is actually no problem, although jet flame is more powerful and Charizard is stronger than special attack, but Zyozzy's Charizard has a tendency to dual swords, which is more important. What's more, the opponent now has Light Wall cover. As for the skill of Flame Claw, in fact, genetically speaking, it is Flame Fist. The genetic essence of this move is to concentrate the power of the fire element in the hands. It is only because most Pokémon are punching at this time that it is named Flame Fist. The fire-breathing dragon is accustomed to using claws, which is also the same point Coconut Egg Tree took the Flame Fist move from the front and slid out backwards with a shallow claw-shaped scorching mark on his chest. And just when the coconut palms are active, the scorched marks on Coco's chest flashed a little fire again, and then Coco seemed to be in pain. Beautiful. Burned. and the opponent's light wall is useless. Zioheo said a little excitedly off the court point. It's all about complaining. He still hopes that Ziozi wins. Otherwise, he will lose face 2. Ziogang was calmer at this time. No, it's not for nothing. If there is no light wall, then the Charizard can directly use Jet Flame before, and the damage will be greater. Coconut Egg Tree does not use physical attack. Burns are not that effective either. That's right. Forcing the opponent to use a less destructive physical attack is already the effect of the light wall. Indirectly point the speed and race value of the fire-breathing dragon is higher than that of Pikachu, but the skill readiness time is behind Pikachu, so it can be seen that its level is still a little worse, and the speed of the coconut egg tree is really not good. In front of the 3 fast attackers, it was not enough to see, but after that, it was naughty Laydan who was ready one step at a time. Seeing the naughty Thunderbolt who was entangled with Pikachu. At this moment, sparks were sparking. Ziozi also became nervous. Pikachu, be careful, Pika. Pikachu also raised his eyes and stopped his pursuit, trying to see through the opponent's attack. But, I saw naughty Leibo flashing all over his body again, and then, the coconut tree also flashed, reflective wall, which weakens the physical attack from the enemy, and is as famous as light wall. Chapter 131 Tactics. Hey, you, what is your naughty Thunderbolt doing? This is not a frontal attack. Ziozi hopped and scratched his head again. It's part of winning, Eminem said with a shrugged point. Indeed, this is just to get used to the tactics in advance. Otherwise, the naughty Mind Bomb level still has an advantage, and it is no problem to be the main attacker. After letting go past the double wall, naughty Leibo's style of play became obviously bold and unrestrained. He even took the time to bump into the fire-breathing dragon while skating Pikachu, and rescued the coconut tree. The coconut egg tree, which was covered, did not use the skill immediately. After it was ready, Pikachu, Ziozi called out, and Pikachu immediately understood what he meant. At the moment, when Pikachu dodged with a fake move, but actually wanted to use Iron Tail to attack the coconut egg tree, a ball of pollen suddenly spewed out from the top of the coconut egg tree, but Pikachu quickly turned around to dodge, and dodged like this. This Iron Tail didn't hit the head, but just hit the foot of the coconut tree. Immediately, a stream of light flashed across the foot of the coconut egg tree. Reflecting wall took effect. Pikachu only felt that his attack had passed through a barrier first. Yedandandan. The 3-faced Yadanshu hopped on one leg with tears in his face, as if hit his toe. It doesn't hurt much, but it hurts. Beautiful. Dodge. Zioheo said excitedly off the court point afterwards. He kept muttering about obscene hypnosis fans, and this kind of trainer won't have fans. Eminem glanced at him and wanted to take him to find Sukyun. No. Ziogang's squinted eyes seemed to flash light at this moment. It's not hypnosis powder. It was just playing tricks. What? Zioheo hadn't reacted yet. Ziogang reminded. Look at the 3 faces of coconut egg tree. They are still the same smiling face. That's right. Although I now have tears in my smile because my toe was smashed by Iron Tail. But if you look carefully, there are really 3 smirks with exactly the same face. The coconut egg tree only has 3 faces. When the skill is ready, the facial expressions will be unified. Otherwise there will be subtle differences. Just now that was just ordinary pollen. Ziogang judged. That's right. If the skill gene is not activated, pollen can only cause sneezing and choking at most, and has no hypnotic effect. It just tricked Pikachu, so that its Iron Tail only caused a small harm. At this moment, the fire-breathing dragon opened its mouth and there was a jet flame, and the heat wave rushed to the coconut egg tree that was still jumping on one leg. Hey, fire-breathing dragon. I haven't. Ziozi was a little tangled. Obviously his fire-breathing dragon was still in the rebellious stage. However, the fire-breathing dragon's jet flame did not fully accomplish its merits at this time. At least it did not achieve its desired merits. I saw that at the last moment. The naughty Thunderbolt rushed over quickly, blocking the path of jet flame, and blocked the blow for the coconut egg tree. Ordinarily, Eminem's naughty Thunderbolt is a naughty Thunderbolt in ancient times. Like the coconut egg tree, it is also restrained by the fire element, and although it is of a high level, its body is also thinner than the coconut egg tree, but Naughty Thunderbolt still rushed over resolutely, blocking the jet flame. When the flame sprayed around the body of Naughty Leixi, the streamer barrier acted at light wall, which resisted a lot point. Although the Naughty Thunderbomb was shot backwards and even hit the coconut egg tree, it was finally carried down. At the same time, Naughty Leighton also looked like he was going to fight back. After floating up from the coconut tree, he saw that Naughty Leighton's wooden body was filled with lightning and became shrouded in lightning. Charizard, get out of the way. SYNOPSIS. Judgment is correct. It is obviously an electric move, and the target is probably the Charizard. After all, the Charizard is not a dragon, but fire plus flight point. But Dodge quickly couldn't dodge. Even the fire-breathing dragon didn't listen to SYNOPSIS' instructions, and stood on guard, and prepared to fight back. I saw the Naughty Thunderbolt turned into a huge electric ball, and after quickly circling the fire-breathing dragon, it hit its face directly, knocking the fire-breathing dragon's head to the side. But then the fire-breathing dragon also hard holding on. Without adjusting his body shape, he swung the dragon claw that had been prepared long ago, and grabbed it in the direction of the attack, wanting to return it point, but fire-breathing dragon waved it away. Naughty Thunderbolt still maintained this high speed lightning state, flew directly back into the game ball, and replaced the armored rhinoceros. What? It didn't use the skill just now. How can it be changed? Zio looked at Sakuragi as the referee suspiciously. It's an exchange move. It should be Volt replacement. Ziogang explained at this time point. After using this type of move, the state of the Pokémon can directly make the converging light take effect, which saves the time for the skill to be ready. Or, in other words, while changing people, it can also cause some damage. The Naughty Leixi, who was in charge of opening the double wall, was obviously suitable for this move, opening the double wall, covering his teammates, and then leaving the field without loss at the same time. At the moment, when the armored rhinoceros landed, the coconut tree, which had already prepared its skills, exploded with mental power, causing the surrounding space to distort. Trick space. Coconut tree endured a move before. Just for this reason, the fastest player in the field before was Naughty Thunderbolt. Using trick space is not considered a blood profit, and it may disrupt the rhythm of Naughty Thunderbolt, making it unable to catch up in time. Use Volt exchange to leave the field point. Our high speed Naughty Thunderbolt is now leaving the field, and now the opponents to our high speed and are to our low speed. Magic space. It's bloody money. Although it is not possible to directly reverse the speed as in the game, the speed of the two sides is also shortened. At this time Pikachu and the fire-breathing dragon plummeted, and the coconut egg tree and the ironclad rhinoceros surged, and the gap became small point. Moreover, reflecting wall and light wall can at least last for about 3 times before the opponent's skills are ready. If it is an official game, Eminem will definitely prepare light clay in advance to extend the duration of the double wall. It's a very tactical approach, Dr. Sakuragi said with emotion at this time point. Although from his perspective, it is not uncommon to see more powerful and more technical battles, but as a newcomer trainer, Eminem is indeed not only very strong, but also very tactical, thinking. It is completely different from the brute force of most traveling rookies, and the tactical arrangement is not as ingenious as that of the academic school. Zio still has the advantage now. Zio looked at Dr. Sakuragi unconvinced. Point indeed. In terms of the physical strength of both parties, Eminem's coconut egg tree is not in a good condition, and the situation of the recovered Naughty Thunderbolt is also not good, of course. What other people don't know is that the Naughty Thunderbolt, just robbing Eminem's trainer stunt version, Regeneration, took a breath on Zio's side. Although the fire-breathing dragon took a hit, it was still a restrained electric attack, but the problem was not big, and Pikachu was in good condition. Before that, the coconut egg tree and the Naughty Thunderbomb had not been launched much outside of skills attack, but no, for Zio now, the test is very severe. Dr. Sakurage's language is very good point, but it is true. Coconut Egg Tree and Armored Rhinoceros, after erasing the gap in skill preparation speed, their strength surpasses the combination of Charizard and Pikachu in an all-round way, and they also have a slight advantage in attributes, and the double wall effect still has a period of time. Unable to effectively output Eminem's Pokémon, the counterattack has only just begun. Chapter 132 Not being greedy is not an armored rhinoceros. Under trick space, although the Charizard and Pikachu are still faster, the armored rhinoceros and coconut egg tree are no longer absolutely inferior in terms of skill preparation speed. Pikachu, use, 100,000 volts. Zyos he probably has already figured this out, and he can't bear it now. Otherwise, Iron Armored Rhinoceros and Coconut Egg Tree will also complete their skill preparations immediately, and it would be too disadvantageous to wait for the other party to use their moves. Before changing players, there is nothing suitable for Zyos' prepared Pokémon. Rock type or grass type skills. So in Zyos' view, it is more practical to output immediately when you are ready. What? Zio Heyo exclaimed off the court. Emu also murmured in a low voice, how dare you. Then, I saw the electric light release by Pikachu hit the coconut egg tree on the side, but before hitting a light wall, streamer appeared around the coconut egg tree, which weakened the electric light a lot. Zio Heyo heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this. It's not all his fault for being startled, but the armored rhinoceros may have the characteristic of lightning rod, and lightning rod's armored rhinoceros can absorb electricity energy within a certain range. Even if it is a skill like electric ball, it will be absorbed by lightning rod until it is left to roll. If Eminem's armored rhinoceros has the attribute of lightning rod, wouldn't Zio's ZHI collapse? Although it is said that some trainers can instantly judge the characteristics of the opponent's Pokémon based on experience and intuition, but Eminem feels that Zyos should be a pure head iron point, but he did bet right. Arduin is not a lightning rod attribute, but a hard brain attribute. The effect is to resist the back injury of his own skills for Arduin. This feature is useless for the time being, even if he can learn Sacrifice Rush in the future. Armu will probably not let him use it. Note 1. Although the attack power of this trick is very high on the book, it is a general type. The attack surface is not good, and it is not this type. More importantly, if it evolves to Super Armored Rhinoceros, Hardhead will transform into Hardhead Rock. That is a more practical defensive characteristic. Now I'm used to using Desperate Rush, and I need to change my fighting habits after evolution, but it is a waste of time. Duan doesn't have the characteristic of lightning rod, and Pikachu's 100,000 volts directly confuses our men. However, the grass type is extremely resistant to electricity, and with the cover of the light wall, even our men with little physical strength can carry it. Immediately after the decline in physical strength in our men's stomach, the power of the potion began to take effect instantly, and a couple was forcibly excited on the genetic segment. At the same time, from our men's perspective, the surrounding situation has changed. Not only is the dynamic vision sharper, but it seems that even the flow of time has slowed down. That's right, what Armu gave our men to eat in advance is a wonderful potion, which is the effect of the refined wonderful fruit. After it takes effect, the hit rate will increase by a certain amount. It is directly manifested in the improvement of dynamic perception and reaction speed. At this time, before Zyos he commanded it, the fire-breathing dragon spit at the coconut egg tree with a jet flame. Although the trainer and the Pokémon have a good understanding, or if the pre-battle training is sufficient, there is no need to command it every time. But Zyos he obviously wanted to command, but didn't have time. The fire-breathing dragon is about to hit. Even with the cover of the light wall, the coconut egg tree will probably be sent away. But at this time, not only was Arduin rushing towards him, but the coconut egg tree also pulled Arduin with his thoughts. Although Arduin's special defense is low, but as an armored rhinoceros with the attribute of rock and the cover of light wall, the pressure of jet flame on his face is not too high. He rushed over. After only a few steps, he felt too hot, so he hurriedly stopped under Eminem's comfort. The shortcoming of the armored rhino being easy to top also exists in Pokémon Battle's drive Sakuragi, who noticed Eminem's remote appeasement, was even more enlightened at this moment. Eminem also covered his face for a while. Even if there is attribute restraint and light wall, don't forget how low your special defense is. Okay, however, he finally managed to resist, but the newly grown one horn was burnt black. Gyro. Arduin became even angrier when he realized this. At the same time, the skill of the coconut egg tree is ready. The existence of trick space has brought the speed to a similar level. Amen. Flying leaf storm. Eminem directed point otherwise. Because of Eminem's training, Amen must take advantage of the improvement in hit ability at this time and enjoy the quality hypnosis powder. But now it's already this time. Pikachu sees that he has no skill slots and can't run. So Eminem decided to do something unconventional. So he opened his mouth. The coconut tree also immediately understood what Eminem meant and shook his head at Pikachu. Get out of the way. Zyos, he shouted hastily. Point hearing this get out of the way, Pikachu directly activated Electric Lightning Flash as a preemptive skill. It can be activated before the skill is ready. Under the blessing of normal energy, Pikachu, who is more than one gear faster, did not take the opportunity to attack, but kept changing directions, trying to confuse the coconut tree. However, due to the effect of the miraculous potion, Pikachu was always reflected in the 6 pupils of the coconut egg tree. During this shake of the head, countless flying leaf-shaped grass-type energy blades locked on Pikachu. Pikachu dodged about a third of the way, but all of the latter hit, directly blasting Pikachu out. Pika. After being hit by the powerful move of coconut egg tree, Pikachu suddenly let out a cry of pain. Not only flew out, but also bounced on the ground a few times. Pikachu. Zyozzy panicked point, but his urgent effort, Iron Armored Rhino, is also ready to complete. I saw Arduin raised his front hooves and stomped his feet fiercely, and the fire-breathing dragon immediately flew up, mainly using its own flight energy to eliminate the influence of gravity. After all, it looks like it wants to earthquake or stamp foot. Unexpectedly, there was no movement in the gravitational wave. Instead, while Arduin was shaking his head, it was generally a surge of energy. And then, Arduin's power gene chain was excited for 2 stages at this time. Saw dance. Launch. This is a double wall in the magic space. There is also cover, and there is also the right to shoot. Can you be considered an armored rhinoceros if you are not greedy for a wave, corner, horn? Arduin's momentum suddenly became more majestic. Note 1. In Legend of Arceus, Iron Rhino will learn Sacrifice Rush at level 43, which is also learned after evolution point. The setting of the skills that Pokémon can learn in this book is basically, as long as there is a version that can be learned or can be learned in animation, then can be learned point. However, there will be exceptions for special combinations like Earth Fissure plus Undefended Strange Power, so let's talk about it then. Chapter 133. Upright. Pikachu. Stand up. Pikachu. Under Zyos's call, Pikachu still stood up point, but physical strength is obviously already candle in the wind. As for the Iron Armored Rhinoceros, Arduin, he had already completed a sword dance. He had trick space, and he was covered by the double wall in the game. It is basically possible to push the team point. However, the actual situation is still slightly different. After all, Space of Tricks does not have such a perverted effect in the game, but it basically evened out the speed gap point. But even so, the next rhythm is basically that, as long as the opponent supports a round of skills, Eminem's Armored Rhinoceros can shatter the world once point regardless of the lack of evolution. 80 points of physical attack racial value, plus the dominant level, plus a sword dance. Zyos' fire-breathing dragon, and Pikachu can't stand it. Although Pikachu barely stopped, he didn't dare to approach the Armored Rhinoceros in the ordinary charge afterwards. As for the coconut palms, although after Flying Leaf Storm, the special attack gene section directly silenced 2 pairs, and now the external mental power has become weak. But it still has hypnotic powder. It doesn't matter how much output there is, as long as coconut egg tree has the hypnosis powder skill, Zyosy, or any opponent, will not dare to ignore it. Especially now that the hit ability has a bonus. I saw that Pikachu barely made up for the overdraft of Flash of Lightning at this time, and immediately activated Flash of lightning. Again, if it was for avoiding skills before, then now, it is obviously for repairing coconut egg tree. This is my last lightning flash. Well, this is Eminem's voice for Pikachu in a low voice point. Pikachu used a flash of lightning again and hit the coconut egg tree, and the coconut egg tree didn't expect to be able to dodge and directly stimulated the mental power with all its strength, which was equivalent to a normal attack, and collided with Pikachu. Because both sides were in poor condition, both fell to the ground in response. Fainted and lost the battle. Coconut, egg tree and Pikachu have lost their combat power. Please replace the Pokémon as soon as possible. Dr. Sakuragi said that his eyes can't make mistakes. This means losing the battle, not falling asleep. It seems to be 1-for-1. But Dr. Sakuragi and Zayao gang off the field. After weighing it in their hearts, they realize that the value of the coconut egg tree's contribution in this duel is much higher. It is equivalent to opening the trick space and exchanging one with Pikachu. Go. Claw crab, coffin. Zayao released his giant claw crab, and Eminem. This is Death God's coffin? Zayao even took a look at the illustrated book. After all, Death God's coffin is not common in Guandu. Reaper's coffin. Coffin Pokémon looks like a coffin. As long as the Ditterman closes his eyes, he will be automatically recognized by the illustrated book as a coffin of death. Is this the death coffin? Zayao always felt something strange. It's the Ditto. Zayao gang whispered. Although he recognized it, Zayao gang was very particular and didn't give Zayao any information outside the field. This is what the trainer should judge by himself. Is there any difference between Reaper's coffin and divers who become Reaper's coffin in battle? Of course there is. One reason is that Ditterman generally has weaker physical strength than the original version, and secondly, and most importantly, Ditterman consumes a skill preparation to reactivate the characteristics of Transformer and become other recorded appearances. This is also the reason why Eminem is sending out coffins now. Now there is still the effect of magic space on the field, and when the magic space is over, the coffin transformed into a death coffin can be decided according to the situation. Whether to continue the wave of magic space or directly change into a coffin. Body Genghost, Reaper's coffin is slow and Genghui's high speed. With or without trick space, coffins can adapt. But now Coffin has just been able to transform into Genghost and has not yet learned Genghost's skills. Fortunately, the skills of Genghost and Reaper's coffin overlap greatly, but they can make up for. But the combination moves are not very scientific. The eyes of this death coffin are so strange. Zayao reminded deliberately from the sidelines. Eyes? Zayao was taken aback when he heard this. At this moment, Eminem glanced at him. This guy is really annoying. No wonder many people scolded him before. Time travel. Are you still at? Believe it or not, take you to see another Ralili sooner or later. I will take you to see Sukyun. It is said that this guy caught Sukyun with his bare hands in Journey. Well, in this real Pokémon world, Sukyun is such a beast. If he dares to throw the ball, he will definitely be educated by Sukyun. But Zayao didn't have extra reaction time, and the armored rhinoceros was ready. I saw Arduin raised his front hoof again and then stomped down hard. In an instant, the power of the rock system condensed into a huge luminous body that looked like a real rock in the air and smashed down on the giant claw crab and the fire-breathing dragon. Fire-breathing dragon, come back, Zayao yelled, taking it back into the Pokeball. Originally, the fire-breathing dragon's skills were ready first, but this time the fire-breathing dragon also faltered, ready to change at any time, and this time the fire-breathing dragon did not compete with Zayao and waited in place obediently, but was taken back by Zayao. At the same time, a puddle of stinky mud appeared at the same place. The giant glowing rock bombarded the giant claw crab and the smelly mud for a while, but they were not instantly killed in the end. Giant claw crabs and stinky mud are not weak in terms of rock type strength, and even the thinner giant claw crabs have at least high physical defense, and they finally managed to carry them down. In this real Pokémon world, when Pokémon are fighting, the degree of resistance to beating has obviously increased. And it is not so easy to be seconded. However, if you visualize the skill preparation progress of the two, you will see that the skill slots of both have retreated a bit. It is the cowardly effect of rockfall. Cowardly in this world, it can clear part of the opponent's skill preparation progress, and it's not a matter of probability, but the stronger and easier it is to trigger the finger skill, the more it can be cleared. Smelly mud, giant claw crab, don't be afraid. The opponent has been weakened. This is a good opportunity. As he encouraged his Pokémon point, the so-called weakening means that the armored rhinoceros took over. Jet flame, head on point. The stinky mud and the giant claw crab are obviously aimed at defeating the armored rhino. After all, the armored rhino has been sword dance once. The deterrence is too strong. Let it rock collapse again. ZOZHI will definitely be defeated. Clearance point. I saw that smelly mud took advantage of his mud-like body to block in front of him, preventing the armored rhinoceros from rushing. At this time, the slow-moving giant claw crab also took the opportunity to grab it. However, if the skill is not used, it is obviously unable to cause effective damage. The armored rhinoceros has high physical defense, and the effect of the reflective wall is still there. Smelly mud, use, tation overcome. Giant claw crab, use, shell blade. Ziosis. Giant claw crab has not yet grown to the level of learning the crab claw hammer, so he can only settle for the next best thing. Want to focus your attack and take down the armored rhino, but Ziosi obviously forgot one thing, that is, Coffin hadn't made any big moves before, and after smelly mud and giant claw crab were hit by rock avalanche, the skills were ready after Coffin. Eminem reminded at this moment point. I saw the Coffin with the skills ready one step earlier. At this moment, Bean Eyes was staring at the armored rhinoceros. The next moment, the power of the super energy system wrapped it, and the armored rhinoceros inexplicably, and immediately they switched positions instantly. Chapter 134. It is difficult for the stinky mud to learn Mount Tay's top pressure, but Zios' stinky mud has learned it, and it is its skill trick point. However, just when smelly mud's whole body was pressed by general force, he suddenly found that his body was replaced by a death coffin. I saw that the smelly mud passed directly through the body of the death coffin, and the energy of the general system, as well as its body, did not have any interaction with the death coffin point at the same time. The claws of the giant pincer crab are also shining with blades condensed by the power of the water system. The whole giant claw is like a pair of big scissors shining with blow light. The effect of shell blade is to make water energy form a sharp blade, because most of the time, it works on the shell and carapace and extends out, so it is named shell blade. But in giant claw crabs, it is shell cutting point. Seeing that the target suddenly turned into a death coffin, the giant claw crab was also taken aback. But there was no reason to take it back. With a sound of dang, the shell scissors clamped on the death coffin. The giant claw crab did not cause too much damage to the death coffin. After all, the water system has no restraint on the death coffin, and the death coffin has extremely high physical defense and reflective wall cover. Instead, the Reaper's coffin took the opportunity to open the coffin lid, stretched out a bandage, and entangled the claws of the giant claw crab. This is the power of the giant claw crab's own characteristics. The bandage formed before breaking free. The characteristics of the giant claw crab will be invalid, but this is not important anymore. At the critical moment, Coffin exchanged positions with Iron Rhino with the dignified exchange field, steadily resisted, Shell Blade, ignored, Tation overwhelming, and covered the output Iron Rhino. Otherwise, the restrained water system, Shell Blade, and the smelly mud specialty, Tation overwhelming, set fire. The armored rhinoceros may not be able to hold it point, but now, I saw that the armored rhinoceros, which had been changed and dodged the skills, was ready for the skills immediately, and stomped his feet fiercely, and the familiar boulder slammed down again. Deaths. Coffin took over the attack, and the giant claw crab and smelly mud completely lost their chance to come back point. It was another rock avalanche, which directly smashed Zios' two Pokémon until he fainted and lost the battle. Giant claw crab and smelly mud have lost their fighting power. Ziosi, please send other Pokémon, or abstain. Dr. Sakuragi specially reminded Zaios he has only left the fire-breathing dragon that is not in good condition and does not obey the command, and it is impossible to reverse the situation if it is released now. After hesitating for a while, Zaios raised his hand to admit defeat. If the rest is Pikachu or other Pokémon who obey the command, Zaios he will definitely fight to the end, but the fire-breathing dragon will only rush forward and be injured in vain. Eminem wins. Dr. Sakuragi announced. Zaios muttered unconvinced on the side, saying it's all underworld skills, no one will like it like this, and so on. Zaios gang walked over, patted the shoulder of Zaios who lowered the brim of his hat, and said, if it's an official match, there is still a chance for singles. Tiny chances if it was an official match. Now in the doubles duel, Eminem has accumulated 8 points. And Zaios he also scored 2 points because of the loss of the coconut egg tree. In the singles, if Zaios he wins completely, he can get 9 points for a total of 11 points. Must ensure 0 seal Eminem will 11:8 win point. As long as any Pokémon is defeated by Eminem, it becomes 11-11. The total score is tied, and the side that wins the doubles wins according to the rules. Armu briefly reviewed the previous battle in his mind and felt that there was no big problem. He will write the review diary later in the evening. And at this moment, suddenly there was a burst of incandescence on the field. I saw the armored rhinoceros that had just harvested the opponent, and at this time the whole body burst into the light of evolution. In the light, you can see that the outline has gradually changed from full egg to a two-legged Tyrannosaurus. After the light dissipated, it had evolved into an iron-armored Tyrannosaurus, or a drilled rhinoceros. Zaios, who was originally depressed because of the loss, immediately became excited again when he saw the evolution of the Pokémon, and he didn't need any comfort at all. Dr. Sakuragi also asked Armu to have dinner with him, and Armu was not very polite about it, so he didn't have to wait for him to contact Zaios for dinner during the meal. Dr. Sakuragi mentioned the haunted thing again. Later, when Jenga and Pikosi were in foster care, they would be asked to help. This must be agreed with Eminem first. According to Dr. Sakuragi, Genji UI and Pixie are not going to be placed in Sakuragi Park, which is a fenced Pokémon habitat outside the research institute. As ghost type and fairy type Pokémon, Jenga and Pixie actually prefer the laboratory to the wild environment, especially there is a haunted little guy waiting for them here when going back to the Pokémon Center after dinner. Eminem found something embarrassing. No more armored rhinos to ride. The evolved ironclad Tyrannosaurus is completely in the shape of a Tyrannosaurus. Obviously inconvenient to ride. And Dr. Sakuragi is near the outskirts of the city, so it's not easy to take a taxi. Seeing Eminem taking out the elf ball and then seeming to think of something to take it back, Dr. Sakuragi said thoughtfully, it's getting late, and my research institute is quite big. Drive. Sakuragi's research institute is integrated with his home, and there is indeed no shortage of guest rooms, but Armu still shook his head and said, thank you for the hospitality, but it's still early, so I still won't stay overnight. It was only evening. Lion G, you can take Eminem back to the Pokémon Center on the way. Dr. Sakuragi didn't force him to stay. In the end, Armu got a ride from Lion C. Lion G is Dr. Sakuragi's assistant. Because of his blonde hair, which is always messy, it makes him look very decadent. So, you live so far away? Eminem asked in surprise on the way. No, I usually live with the doctor. Liancy just replied, and he was afraid that Eminem would think that he was sending him off specially, so he would be embarrassed, so he added, it's just that there are some things that the doctor needs to send to Kyubei High School. Let's go. So dropped by and returned to the city. High school? Eminem was taken aback when he heard the words, does Dr. Sakuragi have other children? No, this, not really. Liancy saw that the more he explained, the more he got stuck, and finally he just said, it's a relative's child. I see. Eminem obviously didn't mean to ask more questions. Liancy came all the way to Kyubei High School, and Eminem also came down to help him pick up the luggage, which was full of 2 large suitcases. Huh? Isn't Kyubei a boarding school? Eminem was still a little puzzled. If it is not used in school, is it not good to send it directly to home? Ah, this, ha ha ha. Leixi smiled awkwardly. Suddenly, Leixi seemed to see someone in the crowd after school and hurried up to greet him. Yang Hui, over here. Where is Huardeo? Slim. Shady. Chapter 135 Basket Department. Yohui, Ikebana, the red hair of Dr. Sakurage's father and daughter. Eminem felt that he might have discovered something again. Brother. Leixi, why are you here again? Please forgive me, because I was complained by Huardeo for several days last time, when I delivered things for you. The student who was called Yohui by Renji spread his hands and said point. The three students next to him also had expressions of don't worry about it anymore. Eminem stared at the four of them. Yang Ping can be regarded as having good facial features and feels very friendly, while the other three are just the opposite. A fat man with glasses and pretending to have fierce eyes, a yellow-haired airplane head, and a very old-looking 1. Is this a curly head? I always feel that these three people are playing bad boys with great craftsmanship. Hey, boy, what are you looking at? I warn you, don't come to harass the boss again. Seeing that Emu had been staring at them, the fat man took the lead in provoking. Your Ikebana boss, is his surname Sakuragi? Mew wanted to confirm again. Who knew that the other party was taken aback when he heard the words, and then the three of them looked at each other and then replied, okay, it seems to be right. Cough cough, what's the matter with you, Slim? Shady, no wonder. After all, people in this world rarely call their surnames. Only Dr. Oki and Dr. Sakuragi call them by their surnames. Sakuragi. Yang Hui looked at Renji's clothes and seemed to think of something. He was still wearing a researcher's white coat. It was only then that Amu realized that they probably didn't know who Leixi was before. They only knew that the other party was Huardeo's some kind of relative, but since Huardeo didn't want to associate with him, they didn't care who Leixi was. But in the end Yohui still reminded, you don't need to ask me today. Huardeo is not playing truant today. He is training in the basketball team. I see. Thank you very much. Leixi thanked after being reminded. Football department. Eminem whispered. Immediately remembered what kind of sport it was. Pokémon basket. Note 1. Pokémon basketball is the most popular sporting event in this world. What is called a sports event in this world is an event that humans also participate in. If only Pokémon participates, it is a Pokémon event. And Pokémon basket is undoubtedly the most popular among the former. The venue for the competition is a flat ground about the size of a football field, plus a sloping ring with a larger area than the flat ground around the periphery. Bowl, of course. I don't know how big the football field is, but it's almost the same visually. During the game, 5 human players from both sides competed in the infield in the middle under the football rules of 5 vs 5. In Eminem's opinion, it was similar to football and basketball. You can use your hands or feet, but Eminem didn't pay much attention to the specific rules on the periphery, that is, the outfield on the inclined surface. There are 10 Pokémon on each side for a 10 vs 10 confrontation. The ball used in the game is specially made. It is not only durable, but also slightly suspended. It also has the feature of when you meet the strong, you will be strong. The more advantageous it is, but it will not reduce the game to a pure power game. There is a special barrier between the inner and outer courts. When the ball is passed from the outer court to the inner court, the power will be greatly weakened. That is, when the Pokémon passes the ball to humans, the power will be weakened. Otherwise it will be too easy to get injured. Pokémon that directly breaks the target in the infield from the outfield. Scoring depends on the ball target. It's not that each side has a goal or a basket, but a special Tolem target, which will fly around the court within a certain height range during the game. When the ball target is in the field, the Pokémon passes the ball back to the field, which is regarded as the ball right of the Pokémon side. At this time, the ball is put into the Tolem ball target, and it is regarded as a Pokémon your team scores. Conversely, when the target is in the outfield, human players in the infield are also required to seize the ball and pass it back to the outfield. Because the rules take into account the enjoyment of human player confrontation and Pokémon confrontation, it is the most popular sport in the world today. and volleyball, baseball and so on must be placed in the back row. It is said that in terms of income, the Pokémon basketball player is also the highest in the sports sideline of the trainer. After learning that Uardeo was in the basketball team, Leixi apologized to Eminem at first and wanted Eminem to leave first anyway. A taxi can already be found here. No, let me accompany you. There are many strange things, Eminem said very intimately. In addition to being kind by nature, it is also because Eminem wants to see what Pokémon looks like. Leixi couldn't refuse, so he had no choice but to thank him again and again, and then the two walked into the campus together. As for why the school doesn't stop outsiders from entering, Leixi registered at the gate guard and called the headmaster Security Research Institute to see if there is any talent to be cultivated in the academy. It's too late for the headmaster to welcome you. The two inquired all the way to the football department. On the way, Armu also asked about the flower arrangement cryptically because it sounded like Dr. Security's privacy. So Armu didn't ask directly. If Leixi didn't want to talk about it, that's fine. Eminem doesn't gossip like that. After all, it's normal for people not to want to talk about things like illegitimate children. Seeing Armu's whole face beaming with joy, Leixi seemed to be thinking about something bad, so in order to avoid further misunderstandings, he had to briefly disclose the situation to Armu. Uardeo is considered to be the nephew of Dr. Security, but Uardeo's father left home because he eloped with Uardeo's mother in his early years. Later, Uardeo's mother died early, and his father also died of illness when Uardeo was in junior high school. Security also recently came to Kuai City to open a research institute. He met Uardeo by chance and found out that his brother had passed away. Knowing that her nephew is only living on the pension and the preferential policies of the alliance, she wants to subsidize one or two. But although Uardeo understands that the death of her parents has nothing to do with the Security family, there is inevitably a gap in her heart, and she still does not want to see Sakura. Dr. Wood. Dr. Security also tried to get in touch with Ikebana in person, but the other party was very excited, so Dr. Security chose to let Renji come over to prevent Ikebana from causing trouble at school. Who are you? Seeing outside the stadium of the basketball team, a girl wearing a short t-shirt and a baseball cap behind her back stopped the two approaching people with some doubts. Note 1. Pokémon Basket appeared in the theatrical version of Phantom Overlord. The reverse boss of this episode is the team owner, and even threatened to use 3 holy beasts to participate in the World Cup. Of course it is fake. Looking at the few shots of the venue, it should be similar to what Bendang described, but the specific rules were compiled by Bendang himself, and there should be no human players in the original work. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136 Visit. In front of the football stadium, the girl who stopped Eminem and Leixi had 3-dimensional lips, and it could be seen that under the baseball cap, she should have curly hair. We are from the Security Research Institute. May I ask if this is a basketball team? Seeing this, Leixi asked directly, Security Research Institute, that I'm Casey, the manager of the basketball department. May I ask who caused the trouble? Casey's first reaction was to complain, and her expression suddenly became disturbed. But immediately Casey was a little confused. If someone caused trouble in the research institute, they would definitely notify the school directly. No, we came to your school to see if there are any potential talents needed for future research. Leixi heard that the other party was from the basketball team and even showed his ID card on the illustration book to avoid being suspected identity. Talent? Casey looked at Leixi even more inexplicably. You come to the basketball department to find the talents needed by the research institute. Are you going to study how many levels of Pokémon can the human body fight against? And then you need research materials, not research talents. Seeing that the other party seemed to want to complain, Armu interrupted. Actually, there are some special projects. I want to find out if there is a suitable partner. Don't worry, I won't disturb your training. You can let us do you want to see it. Leixi had also told Eminem before that before he got the approval of the other party, he didn't want to mention flower arrangements in front of outsiders and expose the relationship between Dr. Security and him. Otherwise the child would definitely get angry. So that's how it is. Since it's the Security Research Institute, of course it's okay. KZ felt more at ease when she heard what Armu said. Under the guidance of KZ, Eminem and Leixi came to the stadium and saw the Kirby football team training. A group of young men in the field are fighting for an ordinary ball, and there is also a fat old man in the field. The only Pokémon present was a Rotom, with something like a flying garland flying around the field. Obviously it was the target, but Eminem is disappointed. Why only people looks like it's just simulating the infield. The interaction between the infield and the outfield is the essence of Pokémon basketball. However, if you only simulate the infield, it is not against the law to use an ordinary ball, because in the Pokémon basketball, that special ball behaves like an ordinary ball in the infield. When in the outer field, it will suspend autonomously, absorbing various types of energy. Don't you usually train the outfield? Eminem looked around the stadium, and it didn't look like there was an outfield. KZ's face froze when she heard that, and said, of course not. The entire Cuba school only has one standard football field. It consumes a lot of energy when it's turned on. We can only use it a few times a week. Eminem understands it clearly. The real Pokémon football field, not only the facilities themselves are expensive, otherwise the Pokémon will not be able to play in it, and when it starts, there must be a special Pokémon opening the barrier between the inner and outer courts. Is not just like ordinary football and basketball courts, just laying them out. Cuba isn't a good school either. As you can tell, it's not a specialized Pokémon school. It's only a second-rate school. In terms of Pokémon basketball, Cuba is not outstanding. Although the goal is the Quartz League High School League, in fact, he has never qualified in Golden City. Speaking of the high school Pokémon basketball, Eminem actually knows a more powerful player, Shinichi. In addition to being Conan, he is a newcomer to the defending champion of the Quartz League High School League, Tedden Advanced Division. It's a pity that he started to disappear before even playing a game. As for QB High School, it is already the result of Coach Shanks's efforts to open the court several times a week for the football team. During normal training, they are all trained separately. That is, the members are in the stadium, simulating in-field training. After that, they will go to the Pokémon battlefield to train Pokémon in a targeted manner. Field pass and catch practice. As for competition practice, there are actually not many opportunities. By the way, you still need to see the cooperation between them and Pokémon. KZ asked naturally. Before Leixi could react, Eminem said first, that's right. If possible, I hope to show it to us. Of the 10 Pokémon in the competition, each player must produce at least 1 point. It can be 5 players, each sending out one of their own partner Pokémon, and the other 5 all find foreign aid. Or one player can send out 6 Pokémon, and each of the others has 1 point. However, in the high school league, foreign aid is of course limited. It must be a trainer who debuted within 3 years, and the Pokémon that appears must be first hand and cannot be obtained from other trainers. If it is a junior high school league, then no foreign aid is allowed. Otherwise, finding 5 Heavenly Kings would be too advantageous in the high school league. I'll go and apply with the coach. At this moment, Ayako ran to talk to Coach Shanksy about the Security Institute. Seeing the chubby Coach Shanksy looking over, Leixi and Emu hurriedly greeted each other. In addition, Eminem has also seen flower arrangement. Not only the eyes of Lion G, but also, there is only this one redhead in the audience. He was not training on the field at this time, but doing basic exercises on the sidelines. Leixi was also amazed at this. I really didn't know before that Uadeo likes basketball. I never heard that he played basketball in middle school. Young people are like this. They will suddenly be interested in something. Eminem said very maturely, that's right. And the 2-year league for the middle school group is really hellishly difficult. The generation of miracles in Digwang's level is not like that of a junior high school student. Actually, I really like basketball. Ha ha ha. Leixi didn't realize it until halfway through the speech. He was a little invested, and ordinary people should pay little attention to the middle school league. Eminem did have a weird expression, but it wasn't because he didn't pay attention to these things, that he didn't feel that he couldn't get in the conversation, but I wanted to ask a certain pretentious detective, did he win against Tiguan in the 2nd and 3rd grades of junior high school? After Ayako finished speaking with Coach Anxi waved, and the ball target Rotom fell over. Obviously this was Coach Anxi's Pokémon. The team member who practiced on the field looked over suspiciously, and it is said that the time for the simulated in-field practice has not yet come. By the way, Huardeo also found Lionji at this time, and immediately put on a bad face. Everyone, rest for 5 minutes. Gangson, you will organize everyone to pass and catch the ball in and out of the field. Coach Anxi didn't mention the Security Research Institute, which has nothing to do with him as a coach, just a little cooperation. Just constitution. Amu looked at this burly and dark-skinned captain with strange eyes. His name was Gang Zion, and he didn't know if Huardeo made him Gang or Zion. Chapter 137. I hate. Although Huardeo was in the 1st grade, when he saw Lionci, he immediately started to quarrel and said, KZ, how come outsiders come in casually? Oh, they are from the Security Research Institute. They want to see everyone practice. It seems that there is something that needs to be coordinated. As soon as KZ opened her mouth, Huardeo curled her lips and said, we still have to practice basketball. How can we have that time? Let's drive them away, together with those guys. Girls, it seems they are all fans of another classmate of Feng. What's none of your business? After a while, you and your Pokémon will also participate in the 2nd group of passing and catching exercises. Let me see if you have mastered the basics. Gangson knocked on the flower path angrily. During the 5 minutes of rest, Coach Anxi took out another elf ball, and it was the magic wall doll that was released from it. Please, Anxi said, looking at the magic wall puppet. The latter nodded when he heard the words. Looking at the movements, it seemed that the magic wall puppet had also reached old age. Then I saw that the magic wall puppet rubbed out a transparent wall little by little. This is not any skill, but uses the characteristics of the magic wall puppet to create various barriers to create a wall. A temporary barrier similar in nature to the division between the inside and outside of the basketball court. Don't look at it as if it is old and not suitable for battle, but it can skillfully create this special barrier. Otherwise, it would be too dangerous for humans to catch the ball with the full force of the Pokémon, and if the Pokémon deliberately withdrew its force, the training effect would be compromised. The barrier made by Coach Anx's magic wall puppet is actually unqualified to be placed in the competition venue. After all, the serious venue not only has its own facilities, but also more than one Pokémon is working hard. Not an old magic wall man occasionally replaceable. Fortunately, these high school students and Pokémon are not very strong, so they can barely be used for practice. After Coach Anxi came to QB, the training quality of the basketball team has been greatly improved. Firstly, Anxi's own level, and secondly, his ball target Rotom and magic wall dolls are also suitable for training. After the magic wall puppet finished its work, Gang Zion saw that it was almost time for a break, so he immediately clapped his hands and said, okay, get up, let's practice passing the ball. I saw that the members present, except for Security, each released 2 Pokémon. Among them, Captain Gangson released a throwing monkey and a smart-wielding gorilla. PFFT. Cough. Cough. Amu accidentally laughed out loud and immediately pretended to be choking. At this time, Huardeo whispered from the side, hey, it looks similar, right? I'll say it's the orangutan trio. It wasn't until being shrouded in the shadow of Gangson under the light that Huardeo became honest. And next to Huardeo is his only Pokémon partner, a hooded bastard. This is the evolution of Sleg Boy. Considering that it needs level 39 to evolve, this turban bastard has at least level 39, possibly more than 40. As a student at school, this level is already very high. The most conspicuous thing is that the red hair on its head, which looks like a coxcomb, is faintly larger than that of ordinary turban gangsters. In turban gangsters, the larger the hair crown, the better the qualifications. Another conspicuous little boy, when releasing his Pokémon, caused the girls outside the venue to scream. It's really a Lucario. An Alito. Obviously this should be classmate Afeng. Whispering. Sound Eminem. And Huardeo found that the other party also made the same voice. Meow. I hate people who pretend to be beep the most. Huardeo whispered. I always feel that every time I see Lucario, it's in the hands of a trainer pretending to be beep. Eminem also added point of course, only Huardeo and Lion G next to him heard it, and the latter just smiled awkwardly. Huardeo's dislike towards Eminem, because of suspected personnel of the Security Research Institute was greatly reduced, and even began to increase in positive favorability. As for El Duo, it is a variant of the male Xanadu. Note, it is not the male form of Xanadu. Xanadu itself has males, but only the unevolved body of the male Xanadu family can evolve into El Duo, different from Xanadu who is fairy plus superpower. El Duo is fighting plus superpower. Fighting is a common attribute of basketball players' other Pokémon. They are all passers-by. This is a newly bought game ball. If anyone breaks it by using skills other than the regulations, he will compensate me according to the price, Gang Zion said, and took out a technologically looking ball, and glared at Huardeo. And Huardeo just smiled awkwardly at this time. Obviously he was the one who broke the game ball before. Eminem also knows this. In basketball games, most of the skills are on the banned list, and only a small part can be used. Gangson said that everyone should be divided into 2 groups and 4 teams with 3 people in each team because the field is not as big as the normal infield, and now we need to simulate the infield and outfield to occupy one half of the court. Not only is it completely different from the real division of the inner and outer courts, but the area is also very crowded. It is mainly to simulate the interactive passing of the inside and outside fields, and the steals during the interactive passing, and practice in 2 batches. The vice captain, Mew Mew, Gangan wearing glasses, saw that Hanamichi was on the same team as himself, and they were both in the second group A, so he said to Gang Zion in the first group, Gang Zion, let's switch between the 2, because there is only Hanamichi in the team, there is only 1 Pokémon, and there is only Ganken, and there are 3 Pokémon. After all, it is neither a special Pokémon school, but they are all students. There are more than 1 Pokémon, and most of them are on vacation, the result of remedial lessons, short-term travel, by myself. Because I don't plan to be a trainer, I don't care about the newcomer competition, and I won't wait until I graduate to receive the illustrated book. But in the first grade, it is the most normal for Huardeo to have only 1 Pokémon. Gang Zion has already nodded in agreement, and if he does not seek foreign aid from other bench members, he can only be with Huardeo. But at this moment, Huardeo always felt that Afeng looked at him as if he was contemptuous. Of course, this is entirely his own imagination. Afeng just looked around normally. Hey, kid, what's your look? Huardeo broke the group. Huh. Afeng just responded with an unwavering expression. Huardeo was even more sulking when he saw this, but he looked around. Yohui and the others didn't come today, otherwise he would have borrowed a foreign aid Pokémon from Yohui at this time. Huardeo looked left and right, skipped Lion C directly, looked at Emu and asked cautiously, are you also from the Research Institute? When KZ was about to remind Huardeo not to provoke the visitors, Amu directly shook her head and said, it doesn't count. I just went to have a meal today, and then help him carry things. She pointed at Lion C. Regarding Eminem's cutting mat, Lion G just smiled awkwardly, but KZ's eyes became more and more confused. Huardeo saw that Eminem was not from the Research Institute, and also had a friendship with people who hate pretending to be beep with him just now, so he pulled him aside, and said to the others, don't worry about me, I'll borrow it from this friend a foreign aid. Then he asked Eminem in a low voice, by the way, your debut as a trainer hasn't been 3 years. I just received the illustration book this year and started traveling. Eminem said truthfully, then you look old. Huardeo was surprised. Ahem, I should be the same age as Captain Gangson. I just got the illustration book later. Amu guessed that he thought he was only 16 years old, so that's how it is, Huardeo said, and instinctively glanced at Gang Zion. When you mention the captain, you look younger by comparison, as A result, Gangson was keenly aware of it and turned his head to stare at it. Huardeo hurriedly avoided his gaze with guilt points. Dang, the Conan line is getting too much, and I'm tired of it, and my brain cells are wasted. Let's start the slam dunk line. To be precise, it is the Pokémon basketball line. Not only slam dunk, but also he's his basketball and Captain Tsubasa. Chapter 138 Interested Coffin. But let's not talk about the age. My Pokémon has never experienced basketball training, and I have never even played. Eminem also saw that Huardeo wanted to support himself and borrow for an aid point. If you switch to another trainer, even if you can't do it yourself, you can probably send a Pokémon to make a couple of gestures. Although the real Pokémon basket is very expensive, there are always alternative and simplified ways to play when you are a student. But Eminem is different. He really has never touched it at all, and naturally he doesn't have any Pokémon. And he doesn't even know the simple rules. It's okay. While they are practicing in the first group, I'll give you a brief introduction. You don't have to do anything then. Just watch me perform. Huardeo said, patting his chest. Amy couldn't hold back Huardeo's kind invitation. In fact, he also had his own curiosity. At this time, he released all 6 Pokémon that he carried with him. Frog Flower, Coconut Egg Tree, Iron Armored Tyrannosaurus, Cassie, Nidoking. There is also the Death Coffin with PZI's Naughty Thunderball is a Dr. Jumu's, and Genji UI and Pixie are at Dr. Sakurage's. Huardeo looked over one by one at this time. My oh Frog Flower, it is not easy to handle on all fours. Although there are many rattans that can be used, but in terms of body shape, it is not suitable for foot basket sports, at least from the perspective of beginners in Ikebana, not to mention the Coconut Egg Tree, although it has 2 feet on the ground, but it has no arms, and it still feels weaker when using mental power. Mental power cannot be manipulated too far away. Ironclad Tyrannosaurus and Nidoking are a bit clumsy, not to mention Cassie. The game ball can't teleport at all. Finally, Huardeo looked at the Reaper's coffin, and at this moment, from the shadow behind, Death's coffin stretched out 4 more shadow hands, and the 8 hands swung vigorously. Eminem looked at the coffin with some doubts. This is... Huardeo didn't know Death Coffin at all, let alone pay attention to the feature of Pziza. Coffin is a Ditto, and now it has become a Death Coffin, a ghost type Pokémon. Eminem said simply. At the same time, Eminem looked at the coffin strangely. How do you feel? It really wants to try the appearance of foot basket otherwise. Coffin usually maintains wise eyes and looks indifferent to everything. Now he even took the initiative to show it off, stretching out 4 extra shadow hands. Is this just wanting to play? The Death Coffin has no hands at all. They are all shadow hands formed with the power of the ghost system. 4 is a relatively easy number to manipulate. 8. In fact, it is a bit cumbersome. Seeing Eminem looking at him, Coffin took all 8 hands back and then lay down on the ground, as if saying, who wants to play? I don't hesitate to play. What's wrong with it? Huardeo looked suspiciously at the Death Coffin that had completely turned into a coffin. It's nothing. It doesn't really want to appear, but if I ask it, it's okay. Amu said, and took back the other 5 Pokémon who were not very interested. As for the coffin, of course, Amu coaxed it to send it up the steps, and Coffin got up reluctantly when he heard what Amu said. Reapers. Coffin, right? You will be in Pokémon's half in a while. Remember that the teammate with the red belt on his body is a teammate with the green belt, and the opponent with the green belt is the one who grabs the ball, but you don't care if the teammate gets the ball. In case as soon as you get it, pass it on to me. When passing the ball, don't worry that I won't be able to catch it. That barrier will weaken a lot, but you don't want to pass through the barrier. Not any part of the body, and don't use skills. Huardeo obviously just wanted to make up the number of coffins, and didn't expect it to really touch the ball. The direct explanation is that skills are not allowed, which is obviously not a real rule. It's just, I can't memorize the flower arrangement. What are the forbidden skills? When practicing with a real ball last time, the turban gangster broke the inner structure of the only professional practice ball in the basketball department at that time, because he couldn't grab the ball. Shadow ball can be used, but it must be used against the ball, and cannot be used against other opponents or teammates. The ghost fire can be used against opponents, and other skills should not be used. Amu corrected a little point. Eminem glanced at the rules temporarily, and then used the whitelist method to tell Coffin the 2 skills it can use among the skills it knows. Of course, the foot basket is not a battle, and the skills that can be used are also limited. They can be roughly divided into 3 categories. One is the motivation skills that can be used on oneself, the other is the weakening skills that can be used on the enemy, and the other is that some of them will cause direct damage skills, and these damage skills cannot be used to attack opponents. They can only be used for passing and dribbling. That's right, that's it. Huadeo looked reasonable. Point. In fact, when the foreign aid Pokémon is on the field, the foreign aid trainer can direct it outside the field. But Eminem didn't understand it at first, so he didn't pay attention to it. Point. At this time, Coffin was already looking straight at the 2 teams in the first group, practicing passing and stealing. Point. Because it is simply passed from one half of the court to the other half across the barrier, so there is no requirement for tactics and strategy. Just try to keep your own possession of the ball as much as possible. Eminem hasn't watched the game much before, and now it's the first time he actually sees someone playing basketball. This game ball is still a ball when it is on the human side. Once it goes to the other side, while passing through the barrier, a structure like the outer edge of a spinning top will emerge around the ball. Point. At this time, the game ball will float and hover, requiring greater force to move it. I saw that the spinning game ball was being controlled by the throwing monkey. Point. Eminem can see clearly from the side. Just now throwing monkey has already gathered key once. This time, after avoiding the opponent's 2 Pokémon steals, he assumed the throwing posture and really used it. Mastered the skill of throwing and threw the game ball to the other half. If there is no barrier, if someone is hit directly, he will definitely be injured. But just as the game ball passed through the barrier, not only did it instantly change back to the normal ball, but its speed dropped drastically, and the evil power wrapped on it almost disappeared. Point. However, due to the force of the attack, the other members were obviously a little afraid. Bailing and Gang Zion, who trusted each other with the throwing monkey, caught the ball directly. After Gang Zion dribbled the ball for 5 seconds, he feinted and passed it to the opponent's smart wielder. If there is no steal, there must be an interval of 5 seconds between each infield and infield interaction. Point. It can be seen that Gangson's own physical strength, technology, and the strength of his Pokémon are not comparable to other team members. For football players, this is not a good thing. After all, football is a team competition. Chapter 139. Steal. Before Gang Zion had his fill of fun, the first set of practice was over. As the captain, Gang Zion didn't show anything, but when the figures intersected at the end, Gong Yan, the vice captain with glasses, saw something, but patted him on the shoulder. The 2 first-year rookies are in the second group. Although there are more than 2 newcomers in the first grade, only Huadeo and Afeng participate in formal training. Point. Gang Zion also hammered the shoulder of the glasses at this time, knowing that he was encouraging himself. This year there are 2 more potential rookies, not to mention being too high. It's not hopeless to qualify in the golden zone. Point. At this time, Huadeo discovered that Afeng was also in this group, but it belonged to the green team. Immediately, Huadeo gave an evil laugh and then leaned close to Afeng with a posture of "I want to keep an eye on you." But Afeng didn't respond to this. Huadeo, forget it. Glasses shook his head. Originally, as the captain of the red team, he wanted to give Huadeo other tasks and keep an eye on Afeng himself, but it was hard to interrupt Huadeo because he was so active. "Is this the foreign aid you temporarily borrowed?" Glasses looked at the death coffin. Point. Although it is not a special Pokémon school, but the glasses belong to the type with solid knowledge, worthy of his glasses. "Is this a Dittamon? It has become a coffin of death." "That's right. And even though he is about the same age as you, he is also a trainer who only started traveling this year," Huadeo said quickly. "It doesn't matter." The glasses didn't care too much. Point. Anyway, it's just a temporary loan for internal practice, and it's not really necessary to hire foreign aid. Even if it exceeds the number of years, it doesn't matter. The reason why people from the Security Research Institute borrowed it was probably for the convenience of observation, right? Security. I seem to have seen this surname before. Glasses didn't think too much about it, and soon started the second group of training. After kicking off, He threw the ball to Kuan in the opposite half. His Pokémon partner, a bee, mumble, just. When Kuan stretched out his gloved hand and was about to stop the ball, El Duo rushed out from the side, and the arm blade directly slashed at Kuan's arm. In the basketball game, there are still restrictions on the physical collision of human players, but for Pokémon, it is only restricted that they cannot use offensive skills to attack directly. Other than skills, it is allowed to hold the ball, or on the path of the ball target, directly engaged in armed confrontation. Seeing that El Duo was about to snatch the ball, Kuan directly embraced him with the other arm, intending to entangle El Duo. Lucario, who was in the middle distance, used the power of Wava Guide at this time, trying to pull the game ball towards himself from a long distance through wave resonance. However, just as the game ball resonated in the Wava Guide, it moved slightly towards Lucario, and the flying leg man on the other side had already stretched the spring leg, and a hook broke the game ball. Because of the special design, the game bullet is more friendly to this kind of direct physical stealing and ball control, and long-range methods such as fluctuations and mental power are after all separated by a layer. Don't be too careless. Glasses reminded of Feng. Flying legs is also a Pokémon with glasses. Although the combination of Kuan plus flying legs seems a bit passerby, the Pokémon with glasses is the same as him, and his skills are very solid. Flying legs bounces and dribbles the ball and dodges a mountain rat on the other side. However, at this moment, El Duo, who is entangled by Kuan, suddenly disappears. What? The glasses couldn't help being surprised. At this moment, Gang Xian said from the sidelines, Gongyan is too careless. It's a stand-in. That's right. El Duo just used substitute, and its main body suddenly appeared from beside flying legs. But at this moment, I saw a red arrow rushing forward. Crown, lizard. The sound of Duan was a head hammer thrown by the turban bastard, knocking El Duo aside. Hey, this is not the head hammer skill, it's just a normal head hammer. Huardeo showed off at the side. Of Feng's cheerleaders watching outside the window booed immediately, but Huardeo was very proud. No need for him to explain. Everyone can see that this head hammer does not have the energy condensation of the general system. It is indeed just an ordinary head hammer, not a skill point. It's just that the hooded gangster of Huardeo belongs to the type who is in a normal state, does not need skills, and has a strong head hammer. Great job. Glasses praised, and he was already in position to catch the ball. However, at the moment when flying leg Lang passed the ball back, I saw a Feng swaying the flower path with a fake move, and then snatched the glasses in one face to face. When it came to the competition of the skills of human players, the vice captain of the glasses and the beginners Huardeo is too far behind. A Feng, a steel speed pass, and the game ball returns to the Pokémon's half. Because of the steal, there is no need to wait 5 seconds, and Lucario has already been in position, catching the ball with a tacit understanding, and completed the seizure of the ball. Flying leg Lang wanted to break back with a flying shovel at this time, but Lucario jumped away nimbly, and the game ball hovered beside him. At this moment, Lucario's Wava Guide perception is fully stimulated, and the figures of all opponents and teammates around him are all presented in his mind, and no one can imagine. Suddenly, a shadow hand appeared silently and hooked the game ball around Lucario away. Lucario. That's right, it is the coffin, the shadow hand, which does not exist in essence, but is just the product of the energy aggregation of the ghost system. However, the energy of the ghost system will not interact with the energy of the general system and the fighting system, and the Wava Guide, that naturally sublimates the energy of the fighting system, cannot perceive it. Although Lucario was surprised, he, together with Alido, attacked the death coffin in front of him from left to right. Crown lizard. The hooded bastard hopped to attract the attention of Coffin, signaling it to pass the ball. You can pass it back directly after stealing it. Huardeo also shouted quickly. At this moment, the Coffin's two bean eyes burst out with a little, what seemed to be a radiance of excitement. Just when everyone's attention was concentrated, Coffin decided to use his own method to keep the ball. I saw the coffin lid of the coffin was opened, and then the game ball was directly stuffed in, and then the coffin was closed. Coffin. Coffin Coffin shouted twice proudly. However, while other Pokémon and humans were in a daze, Gangson outside the field blew his whistle. Stop. Don't stuff the game ball into your body in any form. As he spoke, Gangson looked at Eminem, but the latter just spread his hands. Eminem is also very innocent, and he did not direct the coffin point. As for the rules, although Eminem is not very clear, he also understands that there should be similar rules. Otherwise, there are many Pokémon that can swallow this ball. It is impossible that Coffin Coffin was the first to think of it. Chapter 140 Invitation. Coffin was told that he could not put the ball in his body, no matter whether he ate it or opened the coffin lid and put it in. Afterwards, he reluctantly took out the ball and threw it back to A Feng. The opponent kicks off again. It can be seen that the coffin was obviously a little bit restrained afterwards. After all, it doesn't understand the rules at all. Without the spoiler of Coffin Coffin, A Feng and his Lucario and El duo can be said to show off to the fullest, and they performed very cheekily amidst the screams of fans outside the venue. Especially when A Feng himself dribbled the ball, he showed expressionless disdain and played flower arrangements in a fancy way. If it wasn't for human contestants, armed conflicts are prohibited. I'm afraid Huardeo would have given him a real head hammer. The practice consisted of 20 interactive passes, and it seemed that 19 times had passed, and it was almost entirely A Feng's personal performance field point. But just this last time, Lucario just got the ball at this time. 2 shadow hands entangled it in an instant, and 2 more stretched out to the ball in his hand. Coffin stared at Diane, and after watching it for so long, he roughly understood the basic rules at this time. Lucario turned around to protect the ball, and at the same time, used his own steel power to condense a bone stick in his hand, and shattered the shadow hand that was catching the ball, while waving it using steel energy. To form this bone stick is not considered a skill, but Lucario's natural power, although the turban gangster also came over with the hammer at this time, and finally forced Lucario back a little, but Lucario swung the bone club with his backhand and hit the ball in the direction of Elido, who was pulled away. Lido used Shadow Clone before to confuse other opponents, but now the distance is just right, and there is no one around. In the position of El Duo, after receiving the ball, it is impossible to stop it when it is passed back to the field. However, at this moment, I saw the Death Coffin rushing towards El Duo with the slow moving speed of Death God's coffin. It is definitely impossible to catch up. But, in a flash, Death Coffin became Genji UI. Although his figure looks chubby, Genji UI's movement speed is quite fast. More importantly, Lucario just made a dunk pass, and the ball was very low. At this time, it happened to be under the lights of the stadium, casting a long shadow. Although Genji UI didn't catch up, he stepped on the shadow of the ball 1 second before the ball fell into the hands of El Duo, and then his whole body instantly merged into the shadow of the ball. El Duo received the ball and used his thoughts to make it hover beside him. At the same time, because of the angle of the light at this time, the main shadow light source of the game ball became a light directly above, and the shadow shrank instantly. Go back. It is true that El Duo saw the transformation of the coffin at the critical moment, but after all, he was too anxious and didn't know how to react for a while. GUI instantly protruded from a small group of shadows directly below the ball, as if a huge monster had drilled out of a small hole. Then he snatched the game ball in an instant and gave El Duo an uppercut. El Duo countered with his elbow, but the arm blade just passed through GUI's body. GUI looked at Huardeo from the corner of his eye at this time, but A Feng had already rushed over and saw GUI waved his hand violently. Not good. I'm in a hurry. While the glasses were anxious, they also stopped A Feng. But no matter how you look at it, this is an action of throwing a game ball, but there is no real passing of the ball. With the help of the ghost type Pokemon's body, which can completely blur and avoid physical collisions, Ghost Camera couldn't be more real than a fake move. At the same time, GUI bumped lightly and passed the game ball in the half court. It seems that the mistake spread to the empty space, but the turban gangster was already ready, and a red light came across. The turban gangster This time it was really the head hammer skill, and he jumped up to use it. With a loud bang, the game ball slammed into the other half with astonishing force point. Although everyone knows that the barrier will play a weakening role, but this momentum really makes everyone else stop. Only Huardeo, the partner of the turban gangster, rushed forward at this time, jumped up and caught the long pass. Boom. Although there is a barrier weakening, the sound of this ball is not weaker than when the head hammer hit the ball before. Oh. Coach Anxie uttered a voice of surprise with admiration, and a little apology point as the ball was intercepted. The practice was over. I saw Huardeo holding the ball, showing his handsome back, until 2 seconds later. It hurts. Huardeo dropped the ball, clapping his hands, and screaming for pain. Wall is also an old man. If the barrier lasts for too long, the effect will be weakened. Oh ha ha ha. Coach Anxie let out an old-fashioned laugh. That's right. In the last blow, the force wasn't weakened enough. Of course, this is also because the Pokémon of Huardeo and Afeng are indeed much stronger than the Pokémon of ordinary members, especially the power of the hooded gangster. So for the magic wall dolls that maintain the barrier, the consumption is also high. Bigger. Looking at the bent over and looking old magic wall puppet, he beckoned to himself and smiled apologetically. Huardeo couldn't say anything at this time. Coffin and the turban gangster were jumping and dancing to celebrate there. Those who didn't know thought it was an arrow victory, not 19:1 exclamation point until he noticed that Eminem was looking over. Coffin suddenly restrained himself, putting on an expression of so that's it, and it's not much fun. Coach Anxie stared at the Coffin for a while, then stood up from the seat and walked slowly to Eminem. Young man, is there anyone you fancy? Coach Anxie asked first. Let's just take a look. Lion C explained in a panic. After all, he was bluffing and deceiving in the name of Security Research Institute. Coach Anxie didn't care and said directly, I really like you. Your name is Eminem, right? I seem to have heard of this name somewhere. Forget it. It doesn't matter. You started traveling in March this year? Well, that's right. When Eminem heard that the other party confirmed the start time of his trip, all kinds of prevarication words already appeared in his heart. Your Pokémon seems to be very talented in basketball. Are you interested in foreign aid? Coach Anxie invited. In fact, in professional basketball games, the most common combination is 5+5+5. That is, 5 human players, plus their 5 Pokémon partners, and the other 5 will probably be foreign aid. But it doesn't have to be foreign aid from several trainers in the high school Pokémon League. There are still restrictions on foreign aid. Not only the age of the trainer and debut time of the foreign aid, but also a maximum of 2 Pokémon. Generally, the Pokémon of new trainers who started traveling within 3 years are generally stronger than the Pokémon of current students. But because Cuba High School was far from being a strong team in basketball, there was no need to sign foreign aid. Just now, probably because of the appearance of Huardeo and Afeng. Coach Anxie decided to fight. Eminem was about to say the words of refusal, but Coach Anxie added, as if he saw through him, I know you are a rookie trainer, and you certainly don't have much time to spend on the basketball, and you don't need to come here often. As long as the Pokémon's foster care location should be changed to the school, and then before the important competition, just participate in the training camp for the next few days. Chapter 141 Unsweetable. Ayako was also surprised that Coach Anxie actually found a pure rookie foreign aid. I don't know if this young man from the Security Research Institute looks like he has never been in contact with Pokémon basket before. However, seeing Coach Anxie's invitation, Casey still chimed in and said, many powerful Pokémon trainers also have foreign players as basketball players, such as Mr. Dandy. Hearing what Coach Anxie and Casey said, Eminem also became a little moved. After all, football foreign aid is one of the most profitable part-time trainer programs, and even the top football foreign aid earns more than a pharmacist. Of course, the status of a pharmacist is not only measured by income. In addition, the most important reason why Eminem loosened was that he found that Coffin had been quietly observing the situation here. Obviously, it is very interested in basketball itself. For the sake of God's way, Eminem will definitely move to various places in the future, and he will take in a lot of Pokémon, so it's not bad to find some hobbies for them when you don't need them to compete. Okay, I can be a foreign aide for the QB school team, but if the football game time and the Pokémon game time collide, then, Amu was about to make a condition. Casey said proactively, don't worry. The league's high school basketball games will be staggered with the rookie Pokémon games. Generally, large-scale basketball games are also timed with large-scale Pokémon games. It's staggered, but it's not just Eminem who has this concern. Many foreign players are part-time professional trainers. As for the membership conditions, neither side mentioned it. After all, Eminem is just a rookie trainer, and he is still basketball blind. QB is not a strong high school football team. It can't even use the standard field for training at any time. It is certain that the school will not allocate funds for foreign aid in the football team. Come on. Otherwise, newcomers like Eminem would not be invited. Point. That is to reimburse a round-trip air ticket, provide food and lodging during the training camp a few days before the game. Of course, there is no need for Eminem to train physically. The main purpose of training him is to command the coffin off the court. Point. Seeing that Eminem agreed to come down, Coach Axie directly called the other members over and introduced Eminem, mainly the coffin, to everyone. Point. Hearing that the school team actually has such a high-end foreign aid, the members are very excited, but then their faces are a little tangled. Why our foreign aid is so pure and new, but thinking that this foreign aid is mostly free, everyone is relieved. If it is those famous schools and strong teams, it is natural to hire a rookie trainer who is famous in part-time basketball, but the cost will not be small. Point. Unlike Eminem, just take care of the food. It seems that QB is really suitable for Eminem. Otherwise, it is generally necessary to work part-time as a foreign basketball player. The trainer must train himself to look good before being hired by the team. Eminem really doesn't have this kind of time. Point. Now directly from the rookie era, growing up with QB school is a good choice for Eminem. Welcome. Gang Zion, as the captain, took the initiative to shake hands and welcome Amu to join. Point. It may be because the trainer's foreign aid sounded tall, and after Captain Gang Zion gave a few simple words of encouragement, everyone became high for no reason. Point. A group of people folded their hands together. Gang Zion stared at Amu directly, but Amu also surrounded him. But, being so close, Amu looked a little short. Point. Although human players can use both hands and feet to play basketball, the QB school team obviously adopts the high ball style, that is, the main line of hand-based style of play. Alliance. Competition. Gang Zion shouted with enthusiasm, leading everyone. Point. Eminem just moved his mouth. Huh. Amu, aren't you high enough? Don't you have confidence? Casey said jokingly. I'm a little uncomfortable. Eminem said awkwardly. Hahaha. Everyone is passionate. Everyone who likes sports is like this. Casey hoped that Amu could integrate as soon as possible. Although he usually does not need to participate in training, it's okay to be hot-blooded or not, mainly because I'm not used to this kind of goal. Amu said truthfully. Have some confidence. Don't look at our poor ranking before, but now. Casey naturally wanted to encourage her, but Amu interrupted at this moment. No, I mean, what the hell is it called? Alliance competition. Shouldn't it be called the champion at this time? Although I don't quite understand basketball competition, but being shortlisted in the Alliance High School competition, this is equivalent to our 8 badges and qualifying for the competition, right? Eminem didn't target anyone on purpose, but just based on his own goals. The goal of the trainer rookie competition is to be the champion, and the goal of the pharmacist is to reach the master level within 5 years. Emotionally, it is really impossible to bring into such a worthless goal. Casey, Gangson, Afeng and others were hahaha. Sure enough, we are the same kind of people. In fact, I thought so too. I joined in. No matter what, let's use the championship as the goal. Huadeo laughed and echoed, idiots. To Afeng whispered beside him, hey, do you want to fight? Huadeo immediately moved forward. Point. Amu thinks that this year is the most hopeful to win the championship. After all, the generation of miracles in Digwin Junior High School is already in the 3rd year of junior high school. Point. I can't get it this year, and I don't have a chance in the next 2 years. Eminem felt that since he chose to make his debut as a foreign football trainer, then no matter what, he would have to win a league high school football championship within 3 years. Right at this moment, another girl ran over. I'm sorry, I'm on duty today, so I came late, but I finally made it. At first, Eminem instinctively thought it was Haruko, but why does this Haruko have short hair? Here we come. This way people. Casey originally wanted to say, this way everyone is here, but she didn't know what came to her mind, so she didn't open her mouth and said, let me introduce you. This is our deputy coach. No way. Sister Casey really compliments me. The girl with short brown hair looked very cheerful, but it's okay to watch for Grandpa for a while. Grandpa, I'm here to take over. You should rest early. Eminem noticed something not simple. After all, in Eminem's impression, Coach Axie did not have a granddaughter, and Haruko should not be such a character. Lizzie, let me introduce you first. This will be our Cuba's trainer foreign aid for the next 3 years. Casey pulled Lizzie back. Lizzie? Amu listened carefully to the words, foreign aid. Lizzie said, observing Amu up and down. Hello. While shaking hands, Amu pulled the coffin to the front, emphasizing, but the foreign aid will be coffin. We are all newcomers. At the same time, Eminem also looked at Ryoko. If that's the case, it seems, isn't it impossible to fight in the next year or the next year? Chapter 142. Is it you? By the way, from July to the 15th, if you have competitions, I won't be able to participate, but you can come. Amu suddenly remembered that the pharmacist's assessment will not deliberately avoid the basket contest point after all. There are many foreign aid trainers, and I have never heard of a relationship between pharmacists and football foreign aid. The one who is slightly related is probably the nutritionist among the pharmacists. Eminem also didn't want the other party to think that he was so unreliable when he first came here. So he explained, I will take the pharmacist's professional assessment on July 15th. The assessment in July is not an expert pharmacist. Casey was still puzzled when she heard this before Eminem could explain. Lizzie exclaimed, your name is Eminem? Are you that Eminem? Eminem didn't quite understand what she was going to say. In March this year, at the age of 18, the aunt passed the first class pharmacist examination. Lizzie said excitedly, it should be me. How do you know? Mew looked at Lizzie suspiciously. I read the news reports. Lizzie said immediately, seeing Eminem's still puzzled look. Lizzie said shyly, actually, I also want to be a nutritionist pharmacist, but this year's first level assessment is a little short, considering that Lizzie is only 16 years old. If she can get the second level professional qualification, she is already very good, and in this way, it is not surprising that she has seen Eminem's report and even remembers it now. Eminem was indeed interviewed at the time, but it was only in an inconspicuous place in the newspaper. Only pharmacists, especially those who also participated in the assessment this year, would notice. Oh, so that's the case. Coach Axie tapped his palm at this moment, and he said that Eminem's name sounded familiar indeed. In March this year, Lizzie mentioned it in his ear several times. What a coincidence, Coach Axie said, and was immediately interrupted by Lizzie in a hurry. Grandpa, it's already this time. You have to rest. Oh. Haha, okay, I'm going to rest. Casey, Lizzie, you guys should have a simple welcome party today, but don't be too late. Axie said as a matter of course, seeing that Grandpa didn't say anything more. Lizzie was relieved. She was very unconvinced at the time, clamoring that she wanted to compare with this endpoint, but Lizzie thinks about it now. There is still a gap between her and a first-class pharmacist, and she can't be lucky. She can only say that she has better talent or has been exposed to pharmacy earlier when she is 18 years old. etc. Lizzie suddenly remembered something, looked at Eminem in surprise, and said, you mean, you will have work from the beginning of July to the 15th? That is to say, you want to prepare for the exam. It's not surprising for a first level pharmacist to take part in the expert level assessment, but with the mentality of passing the exam, that's a different matter. Although I haven't taken the test yet, at least it means that people feel that their level is close, right? It's not considered preparation. Lizzie breathed a sigh of relief when she heard the words, and Eminem continued, expert level stuff. Once you have your ability, you'll have it. Go and calm down half a month in advance, so as not to make low level mistakes when you get it. Lizzie and others were hahaha, you really are this type, and I'm like this every time before the exam. Huadeo came over and patted Eminem on the shoulder and said Pointy felt that he and Eminem were getting closer. No, what you said obviously doesn't mean the same thing. KZ complained from the side. Point indeed, he didn't prepare for the Huadeo exam before, and after that, he competed with a Feng for the last place in the whole year. Lizzie, who wants to be a coach and a part-time nutritionist pharmacist, knows what an expert pharmacist means best. Others don't have a personal experience, and they always know what the expert level of the league means. Ah, you really sure that you can pass the expert level assessment? Does that mean you already have the level of an expert level pharmacist? Lizzie asked after Ramu. Well, anyway, I won't miss the expert level common potion if there is no accident. Amu said calmly. How did you do it? Lizzie knew how difficult it was. Amu felt that it was impolite to say, as long as you have hands at this time, so she said modestly, perhaps I'm personally sensitive to pharmacy, and most importantly, I have a good teacher. Wait, you became a trainer this year? Why are you so confident? Lizzie always felt that even other first level pharmacists who were confident should have been preparing for the exam. Eminem actually started traveling this year. I'm already 18 years old. If I don't apply, I will miss the opportunity to participate in the rookie contest. Seeing Amu's humble look, now Gang Zion and the others also understand why Amu felt awkward just now. An 18-year-old expert. This is obviously the kind of person who is used to being at the top. I'm afraid that it is not just nonsense to say that the vision is a champion. Thinking of myself pulling him and calling alliance competition in the eyes of the other party. This is indeed a bit useless. For a while, even Gangson had some unnatural expressions. Only Huadeo was still in silly joy point, and in the conversation with Lizzie, Eminem has already been convinced that this Lizzie is that Lizzie the coach of the protagonist team in his basketball and a nutritionist in the Black Basket plot. Although he is only a second-year student, he has the judgment ability comparable to a professional coach ability level. Of course, as far as nutritionists are concerned, Lizzie's herbal diet has no nutritional problems, but with the addition of cooking techniques, it can reach the level of a murder weapon. It's just that the Lizzie in front of Amu is still in the first grade, and Amu has not seen it with her own eyes, so it's hard to say easily. Point. And it's actually Coach Hanks's granddaughter. It seems that Ryoko is very concerned about the appearance of Coach Hanks's body, so if this continues, Coach Hanksy will probably be completely driven by her to retire next year, right? Calculated in this way, even in the next year, when the generation of miracles enters school, Cuba should be able to catch the big fish that slipped through the net. Don't worry. In the first 10 days of July, you will have no chance to compete. The national competition will start in the group stage next semester, and the official competition will be held before March next year. However, we may arrange some practice matches during the holiday after the exam. It's time to see you. Lizzie could tell that Eminem was a real layman. Most of the schools in the world's major leagues, March is the first semester and the time for entering higher education, and September is the beginning of the second semester. Eminem's words are very amateurish, but now other people have gained a lot of confidence in him. Although foreign aid trainer has nothing to do with pharmacist, but a person who has obtained expert level professional qualification at the age of 18 has become the team's foreign aid is so believable. Even Lizzie is the same. She can tell at a glance that Eminem and Coffin are both newcomers, and wonders what grandpa thinks. But now that there is an expert pharmacist sign board, there is no doubt about it. Reasonable trust. Being an expert pharmacist may not be able to play basketball well. However, this is probably the feeling of this kind of person will never waste his time. Since he has done it, he can do it well. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143 XIAO-XIAN-039 S Purpose. At around 9 o'clock in the evening, when Armu returned to the Pokémon Center, he happened to meet Zyluxia, who had just returned. Huh? Did you go to the battle club for training? Zyluxia looked at Armu in surprise. Zyluxia went to the port to talk about chartering a boat, shopped around, and bargained, so she just came back now. And Eminem is also a time. Does it take so long to find a nursery? Although Armu had contacted Zyluxia before, Zyluxia was bargaining at the time, and only knew that Armu was having dinner outside, so that she didn't have to wait for him. In fact, Zyluxia herself didn't catch up with her. Buffet time at the Pokémon Center. You will never guess what I did this afternoon, Eminem said mysteriously. Huh? Didn't you go to find a place to foster Pippi and Ghost Stone? Could it be you have encountered a case? Zyluxia has seen this kind of situation more often in UNZ recently. No, I just happened to be at Dr. Sakurage's place, and I met Zyluxia. Amu shook his head again and again, expressing that he did not follow the Reaper. So, you guys are fighting against each other? Zyluxia was still puzzled. The battle should not take so long. It's true that we played against each other, but the main reason is that I went to Cuba High School and became a foreign aid trainer for the Cuba football team. Zyluxia? What and what? Traveling together for more than 2 months. Zyluxia doesn't remember that Eminem is interested in basketball. Eminem talked dryly all the way, and only then did he understand what happened on this trip. Zyluxia is also speechless about Eminem's sudden part-time job as a foreign aid for the high school football team trainer. You're really busy. Zyluxia was speechless. By the way, don't tell Yuanzi and the others about this, Armu reminded. Huh? Why? Zyluxia wondered. Of course it's because I don't want them to watch the game. Otherwise, it would be bad if there was a homicide, and even in such a big scene, it is possible that there will be an explosion at that time, so don't blame the league high school football team. After all, Cuba is not strong yet, and I don't know how to command Pokémon to fight with a basket. Eminem casually said a reason point. When Zyluxia heard the words, she nodded her head clearly, thinking, Amu didn't want to make a fool of herself in front of Yuanzi. Although on the one hand, I feel a little awkward, because Armu seems to be very concerned about Sunoko's opinion, but on the other hand, I'm also a little relieved, because Armu is obviously closer to me. After all, I haven't kept a secret from myself. You want to go to the toilet? This elevator is so slow. Amu saw Zyluxia's expression, as if she was about to come, so she pressed the elevator floor button a few more times like a placebo. Zyluxia, by the way, Ghost Stone is already in foster care. Can you take it back in a few days? Zyluxia suddenly asked, a little embarrassed. Why? Emma looked puzzled. At this time, the elevator reached the floor, and Armu didn't see her, so she went directly into Zyluxia's room and continued talking. Well, I heard today that Laplace was spotted near Maiden Gorge, Zyluxia said, pretending to be serious. So, Eminem obviously didn't understand the relationship between the two. Lapras is indeed a very rare Pokémon. It was once included in the special protection list by the Quartz Alliance together with the Bag Dragon. There are strict audits for the capture of wild Lapras. It wasn't until the last 2 years that the previous protection had paid off and groups of Lapras began to appear again that it was removed from the special protection list. Laplace is also a water plus ice Pokémon. It's normal for Zyluxia to be interested, but what's the matter with Genji UI? Since Laplace is haunted in Maiden Gorge, shouldn't it be enough to rent a boat there? I've never heard of it, but Laplace likes Jenga. How should I put it? Girls Gorge. Zyluxia seemed to be talking about him. At this time, Eminem noticed that there was a flyer on her desk, and she vaguely saw a full body stone statue of a woman painted on it, which seemed to be the flyer of Maiden Gorge. So Eminem stepped forward to pick it up. The leaflet was titled Mystery of Maiden Gorge. 1000 Years of Waiting Celebration. Seeing this, Xyloxia just opened her mouth to stop it, but then pretended not to see it point. After scanning the promotional content for a few times, Ami also understood the reason for Xyloxia's strange reaction just now. Maiden Gorge is not far to the northwest of Deadleaf City, but it is the northwest. After going out to Sea Point as a port, it is certainly not as lively as Deadleaf Port, and as a tourist destination, it is not as good as Rampa, so the focus is on Legends Point. Its symbol is a stone statue in front of a seaside cliff, and Maiden Gorge Point, it is said that this stone statue was here 1,000 years ago. At that time, the Kanto area did not even exist in the ninja village, and it was the most chaotic war period. A young girl's love never returns. After going out to war, and this girl has been watching the direction of her lover's expedition by the sea, until she turns into a stone statue. Of course, this legend is accompanied by the main picture of the flyer, and Eminem can feel the strong hype atmosphere. Also 1,000 years ago, turned into a stone statue. This stone statue is outside the cliff, on a high platform that is almost as high as the cliff. The girl's stone statue is on this stone platform, looking into the distance. Could this be a stone statue from 1,000 years ago? Has it been eroded by the sea breeze for a long time? The Huoing Rock in Jinhuang City is maintained and repaired every year, but these people can really make it up, and there are some strange stories written in the back. In short, at this time of the year, the soul of the girl will return, so people will hold a celebration at this time, and the local girl shrine will also exhibit at this time a picture from 1,000 years ago. This is to find a gimmick to hold an event, right? After all, the local tourism resources are not as good as that of Lampol, so I took the slant and used these ghosts to attract fans. Eminem said without romanticism. I think so too. He. Xyloxia laughed dryly. You can tell from Xyloxia's reaction that she doesn't think so at all. In fact, she was afraid of this legend, but she didn't want to miss the chance to subdue Laplace, so she wanted Amu to take Genji with her. After all, Jenga is a ghost Pokémon. Maybe you can communicate with ghosts. There is a ghost type Pokémon, and it feels more secure at this time point. But Eminem also has his own considerations. Maybe drive security has regretted it, and now he wants to return Genji and Pikexi, but he is too embarrassed to speak up. I still don't contact him. Don't worry, I'll just go with you. The ghost of the girl's gorge must be, well, it's just a hype, Eminem assured, patted her chest. However, in a trance, Amu vaguely felt that the ghost of the girl's gorge seemed to be somewhat familiar, but he didn't think deeply about it at this time. Dang dang, I recommend a new book. I'm a tutor in the elf world, an original elf text. Chapter 144 Girl 039 S Gorge Union 200, May 26. Early in the morning, after Eminem and Xyloxia had breakfast in Pokémon, they rushed to the port and took the boat that Xyloxia negotiated rent yesterday to Maiden Gorge. If you just go to Maiden Gorge, Deadleaf City has regular boats, which is definitely cheaper than renting a boat, but Xyloxia will go to sea from Maiden Gorge to try to track Laplace, so she must rent a boat. After all, it was near Maiden Gorge who discovered Laplace, and Laplace would not swim directly to the port. What Xyloxia rented should be a normal fishing boat, with only one owner, who is also the captain and sailor at the helm. Afterwards, within the scope discussed in advance, he will go wherever Xyloxia asks him to go. Let's go to Maiden Gorge today and rest for one night in Maiden Gorge, and then go to the waters where people witnessed Laplace to search, and return on the 30th at the latest. Xyloxia and the owner confirmed the itinerary. Okay, no problem. Don't worry, I have 3 white sea lions here. As long as it is not a particularly big storm, I will dare to accompany you. If the boat capsizes, I can carry us back. Ha ha ha. The ship owner said, quite cheerful and optimistic. And there is no taboo at all. However, it is not easy to meet Laplace. I have been at sea for so many years, and I only met one last year. It was just one. The owner chatted very talkatively. Xyloxia immediately asked with interest, really? Where? It's around Maiden Gorge, said the ship owner. Hearing what the captain said, Xyloxia was both excited and apprehensive. I was excited because I witnessed the Laplace group, which was probably true, but I was anxious The owner of the ship seemed to be in his 40s or 50s, and he had only seen it once after all the years at sea. Eminem was lying on the railing of the deck, looking down at the sea curiously. When I went from Rampa to Zenxin town, Eminem also took a boat, but it was a large passenger ship, and the deck was very high from the sea. It was Rampa, a small seaside town on the west side of Ashwood town, not Deadly City. Next to the Blue Bottle Resort. Xyloxia came over at this time and said, when I subdue Laplace, I don't need to rent a boat to go to sea. Indeed, except for the Gyarados, Xyloxia's Pokémon are not suitable for water riding, otherwise they don't need to rent a boat. As for the Gyarados, they are not suitable for riding. By the way, what you said? I don't have a Pokémon to ride now. During the duel with Xyloxia, Duan evolved. When we are on the road again, let's ride one. Armu suddenly remembered. Xyloxia rolled her eyes when she heard the words and said at the same time, I don't think I need it for a while. When I go to Ramperky later, I can take a boat, and maybe I have conquered Laplace. Then I will go to Rainbow. If you are in the city, you must buy a ticket directly. Eminem figured it out, and it was true. I'm not in a hurry to find a new Mount Pokémon. The speed of the boat was not fast, but luckily the distance to Maiden Gorge was very short. At around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Eminem and Xyloxia arrived at Maiden Gorge. Xyloxia often surfs, and the water quality is very good, so she doesn't get seasick naturally. Eminem has a strong physique and is also very adaptable, which relieved the uncle of the ship owner, so as not to have to wash the deck. Although the small town of Maiden Gorge is small, it is quite lively now. After all, today is the day of the Maiden Festival, and along the way, Eminem saw several spooky guys, and even, there were 2 umbrellas during the day. Sure enough, many of the people attracted by the girl ghost were trainers of the ghost department. Haunting ghost stories and exploring ghost places are also things that ghost trainers are willing to do. It is best to find ghost Pokémon, and even if you can't find it, you can add some underworld breath to yourself. When Armu and Xyloxia came to the Pokémon Center in Maiden Gorge town, they found that it was already full. After all, the size of the town is small, and only during this time of the year are there a lot of people, so the Pokémon Center cannot guarantee that all new trainers can live in free rooms. Sorry, you can choose to pitch a tent in the camping area, and we will also ensure the safety of the camping area and food delivery. The staff of the Pokémon Center said, forget it, let's go to the hotel. Eminem said helplessly. But it's not that poor, and you have to pitch a tent when you come to the town. Then, this coupon is for you. If you need Pokémon related services, you can come back anytime. The staff said, and gave 2 coupons to Emma and Xyloxia. Emma and Xyloxia took the coupons and went directly to the hotel above. Huh? What are you going there for? It's on the slope here. It seems not far from the shrine of the girl. Armu looked at the map and then at Xyloxia. I went to see that takoyaki shop. Hehe. Xyloxia laughed dryly. In fact, Xyloxia also looked at the map just now, but it was reversed. Eminem has already guessed, but as a thoughtful adult, he still waits in line with Xyloxia to buy takoyaki. Xyloxia came to the end of the line, looked at the people in front and said, there are a lot of people, why don't you forget it? At this moment, a voice that Armu and Xyloxia felt faintly familiar came. Beautiful lady, I don't know if I can offer you my fiery love, just like this hot takoyaki. I saw a squint-eyed boy offering takoyaki on one knee to a woman, who was also impatient in line. Zio. Gang. They there. Mew and Xyloxia immediately recognized who this slut was. It's true that I just met yesterday at Dr. Sakurage's research institute. With the kindness of these 3 guys, it's not impossible to rush over after hearing the rumors. Wait, this legend belongs to Maiden Gorge. When Armu was about to think of something, he suddenly saw a child with a potato head crawling along Zio Gang's body to the top of his head, and said to the lady who smiled awkwardly, beautiful big sister, eat mine. This perverted brother must be thinking something bad. Thank you, little brother. The lady on the side resolutely chose the more innocent looking child. Immediately, the boy with the potato head showed a pure smile. Hey, who are you? Come down. Zyrogang immediately lifted the boy with the potato head down point. At this time, a couple rushed over and said embarrassedly, I'm sorry, Zyroxin, you are naughty again. Really, my parents must have caused you a lot of trouble, right? Zyroxin also apologized in a downbeat manner. That's what we are talking about. The couple yelled at him point, but in this way, Zyrogang can't say anything, and Eminem has nothing to say. I always feel that the three people in front of me are full of instant vision, and I really want to ask, does your family have a lot of mortgages? Chapter 145 A Family of Three. When Zyrogang was stupefied by the family of three, his hand suddenly lightened. So, you want to give it to a beautiful lady? Really? Then I will satisfy you. Zyroxia said helpfully. Zyrogang really wanted to say, but this didn't seem to meet the conditions. But seeing Zyroxia's kind smile, she had no choice but to acquiesce, and Zyroxin on the side looked at Zyroxia and whispered, beautiful big sister is not such a simple thing. Zyroxia immediately stared over when she heard the words, and the square-faced father with curly hair next to him quickly picked up Zyroxin, covered his mouth and said, I'm sorry, I'll give you the one we bought just now. As he spoke, he stuffed a piece of takoyaki in his hand to Zyrogang and left quickly. Point at this moment, Zyroxia looked down at her toes and began to suspect that it was her fault. After all, one person was fine, but now two people, even children, completely expelled herself from the ranks of beautiful big sisters. Emu thinks it's nothing. Calculated in this way, Zyroxin and Zyrogang's definition of beautiful big sister does overlap very much. They both need to be 18 or even 20 years old. At this time, Zyrozhi and Zyroheo came over with a lot of snacks, and they were also surprised when they saw Amu and Zyroxia. Huh? Amu? You're here too? As soon as Amu opened his mouth, Zyroheo took the first step and said, you must have come here for the ghost type Pokémon, right? But the one who can subdue it must be me. No, I came to find Laplace with Zyroxia. As for the legend of Maiden Gorge, I guess it is more likely to be hyped. There are not many ghost type Pokémon in the Kanto area. Already, Amu was talking when he suddenly thought of something. Jenga. It is true that in the Kanto area, there are very few ghost type Pokémon. The Jenga family is the most representative and the only group included in the Kanto illustrated book. When talking about Genji Ui and Zyrozhi in front of him, Amu suddenly remembered, is there such a section in the original work? It seems that in some port town, there is some celebration about the undead girl. The reason why I didn't remember it right away is because this episode, like the giant fast dragon outside the lighthouse and a giant jellyfish attacking the city, was subconsciously ignored by Eminem. It's just the black history of the original animation. Because the animation was first created at that time, there were many mysterious settings. For example, here at the girl's celebration, it seems that a ghost is pretending to be a girl's dead soul. This is nothing in itself. After all, ghosts are indeed such mischievous characters, but at the end, it was surprised that Gissy had a conversation with a stone statue representing the dead. It means that this ghost has been pretending to be the ghost of a young girl every year for pranks, so that everyone will not forget this girl, and the ghost of this girl is actually communicating with the ghost. That's not a Pokémon. First of all, Gissy, as a ghost type Pokémon, does have a long lifespan, but it shouldn't be so long. It stands to reason that even if it is a ghost type, only the relic puppet type Pokémon such as the death coffin, the sword monster, and the giant clay puppet can live for so long. The premise is that they can live for so long. If they fall into a deep sleep, ghost, it should be gone long ago. As for the girl undead or something, it's not very Pokémon. Not to mention huge fast dragons and giant jellyfish. Although there is a setting of extreme giantization not only needs to be formed at a fixed location, but also essentially forms a huge energy body, and the treasure itself is so big. Kemon is two different things. As for the ancient boss Pokémon, it is only several times bigger, and it is impossible to be as big as a monster. So Eminem rarely thought of the original animation before until now. After seeing Zyrozhi, Eminem suddenly thought of it. Couldn't it be true? Seeing Emu suddenly froze, Zyrozhi couldn't help but look back, and then asked, what's wrong? Did you see anything? No, it's nothing. Ghosts or something. It's good to have a look. In the end, Eminem's curiosity prevailed. Point on the one hand, it is to prove whether there are real ghosts in this world. On the other hand, even in the animation, the girl ghosts in Maiden Gorge are not evil ghosts, or ghosts to be precise. He didn't come out at all, but he just said something to Gissy at the end, thanking him for his efforts to let everyone remember himself for 1,000 years, although Guic pretended to be very fierce. It was only at the level of prank, and there was no actual harm. Zyloksha turned her head to look at Eminem, with an expression of "you can believe it anyway, you didn't see something, did you?" Zyloksha was a little frightened by our news change. "It's nothing, let's find this Kyankian hotel first." Eminem changed the topic. Kyankian hotel? Zyloksha was surprised when he heard the words. "What a coincidence, we live here too, I'll take you there, just as we have to go back to the room." Zyloksha said enthusiastically. Slim Shady, it feels like we are getting closer to 1,000-year ghosts and girl ghosts. Soon the three of Zyloksha led the way and brought Eminem and Zyloksha to the door of an antique-looking hotel. Fortunately, it looks neater and cleaner than the Yaosan Hotel in Ujian Mountain, and it is also much more lively. It is obviously a hotel that is open, but the style is more retro. Otherwise, Zyloksha really has some psychological shadows. Just as soon as she opened the door, she saw another grandmother of the same style as Ujianshan, which made Zyloksha's face change suddenly. Fortunately, the other party didn't seem to be from the hotel. Just as he was about to leave, he turned his head and said to the hotel staff, "Then please do this year too, don't worry, leave it to us," said the young clerk in the hotel. There were several clerks in the hotel, and there were customers drinking tea in the lobby on the first floor at this time, which made Zyloksha feel relieved. Welcome back." The clerks warmly greeted Armu, Zyloksha, and Zyloksha and the others. Armu and Zyloksha were carrying travel bags. Obviously they were just coming to check in. "Hello, can this be used?" Eminem showed the coupon to the front desk. "It's okay, but now there is only one room on the second floor," the lady at the front desk said apologetically. "Then one room is fine." Eminem decided directly. At worst, he would set up a tent in the house. This kind of hotel must have empty tatami rooms. "Okay, both coupons will be counted for you, and then every night will be." The other party quoted a fairly favorable price. "Your business here is very good," Eminem said chattingly. At this time, the lady at the front desk said honestly, "That's not true, it's the old lady of the shrine. Every year at this time, some props for sacrifices and celebrations will be deposited with us, occupying a few rooms on the second floor. The celebration starts tonight and lasts for 3 consecutive days, so the things you need every day are put here first." "Wait, are we the only ones on the second floor?" Zyloksha suddenly asked sensitively. "No, that's not true. There are 2 other rooms with guests, and one is a friend who came with you." The lady at the front desk looked at the three of Zyloksha at this time, and then said, "The other one is a family room." 3 bites. At this moment, the familiar voice came again. "Zyloksha, they told you not to open the door with your butt." I saw a boy with a potato head, who was using his buttocks to open the door flexibly. Slim Shady, don't worry, if Girls Gorge is going to be haunted today, the second floor here is indispensable. Chapter 146. As soon as Zyloksha returned to the hotel, he skillfully climbed up to the counter and asked, "Big sister, is there a beautiful big sister with pink and purple long hair here?" As expected of a person from the Pokémon world, this climbing ability is really not covered. "Sorry, my sister didn't pay attention." The young lady at the front desk coaxed Zyloksha at this time. "Zyloksha, you are so rude." Zyloksha's father grabbed him at this moment. It's strange to say that children of this age generally become obedient, as long as they manage diligently, but Hiroshi and Miya obviously don't spoil them at all. They always teach their children face to face, but Zyloksha still so personable. In addition, if Eminem remembers correctly, Zyloksha also very spiritual physique. Not only are urban legends often encountered, but especially when traveling, the hit rate is higher. It basically belongs to the type of you will meet a kappa when you have a picnic in the creek, and you will meet a snow girl when you ski in the snow mountain. Is it the girl with flowers on her head and a bandage on her forehead? Zylogang immediately said, The big brother who is so sexy also saw it. Xiaoxin was surprised. Sexy, big brother, Xiaoxi, and Xiaoheo looked at Xiaogang at the same time. How could even children know about this? It's not sexist. Xiaogang immediately corrected. You also saw the beautiful big sister. Xiaoxin said with a look of disgust. Why do you look disappointed? Is it okay to be seen by me? Xiaogang said madly. People thought that only destined people could see it. I can also be a predestined person. What are you talking about? Xiaozi asked suspiciously. It's the one I told you about when I just arrived here. Xiaogang explained to Xiaozi. So it wasn't you who went crazy? Xiaoheo muttered shamelessly. Xiaozhi and the others came here on a passenger ship. When they got off the ship, Xiaogang said that he saw a very beautiful girl standing on the shore point. But at this moment, other guests also disembarked, knocked him down who was still in a daze, and couldn't find him. After getting up point at that time, Xiaozi and Xiaoheo thought that he was suffering from illness, so they didn't pay much attention. Even now, everyone only thinks that one big and one small. No, it's just one small and one younger. Two little perverts just saw a very beautiful beauty. Only Eminem showed the color of pondering. Seeing the faint laughter of the people around, Mia hurriedly pulled Xiaoxin away. Really? What nonsense are you talking about? Let's go to the room first, Amu said, and went upstairs with Xiaoxia. The rooms on the second floor are full. Guangxi looked at the Haoli puzzlingly, moving things in and out. Well, it seems to be storing something for the celebration. Eminem replied at this time. As for the rooms on the first floor, they were already full. The official day of the Millennium celebration is May 28th, but there will be temple fairs for 3 consecutive days. At this time Shaoli. Suddenly, a Haoli accidentally dropped a picture frame, and the paper wrapping it outside was also torn. Be careful. Seeing this, Amu quickly stepped forward to help, so that the picture frame did not fall to the ground. Squeeze your strength. Haoli hurriedly thanked Emu. Thank you. The person on the side, who was also carrying it, hurried over to thank you. At this time, Amu and the other party straightened the painting back, and at the same time, they also saw that in this painting was a girl with long pink and purple hair who was making a wish. What is this painting? Amu seemed to think of something when he saw this. When Xiaoxin and Xiaogang in front heard the movement, they turned their heads and looked over at this time. After seeing the painting, they showed 2 expressions of soul giving and soul giving. Pretty big sister, beautiful lady, little, new, hey, Xiaogang, Mary, Yao and Xiaozhi immediately pulled the embarrassing son/companion back. Guangxi on the side also said, is this the beauty Xiaoxin said he saw just now? No wonder this kid talked all the way. It really is. Feeling the piercing eyes of Mia, Guangxi quickly changed his words. It's really so. Hahaha, just saw it? Hahaha, guessed. You really know how to joke. This is a painting copied from the painting of the girl thousands of years ago. You can buy it at the temple fair at night. The staff who moved things smiled. Said really. Eminem suspected that the bait of the 2 supernatural physiques had taken effect at this time. At this moment, Amu suddenly felt his back sinking, as if there was something. Well, there is no need for as if. It was Xiaoxia who was nervously clutching the clothes behind him. Obviously what the other party said just now has already made Xiaoxia think too much. It's okay, this situation, it must be cosplay. Eminem reassured, even though he didn't think so. On the contrary, Xiaoheo said at this moment, not knowing how to read the atmosphere. So what you see is not the girls and Ed, is it? After what he said, Xiaozi, Guangxi, and the Mia couple suddenly had some ugly faces. However, Guangxi, as the head of the family, was scared when he saw his wife and children, so he pretended to be nothing and said, really, there is no such thing as a ghost. You young people just like these things. Hahaha, if the eldest sister is a ghost, I can also date a ghost. Xiaoxin said very mature but immature words. I've always felt that I have a talent for the ghost department. Xiaogang has fast forwarded to the betrayal of the rock department. Do you feel like you have an amorphous egg group? Eminem complained with blank eyes. Hello. Zyraksha reminded Eminem in a low voice. There are children beside her. Eminem doesn't care. After all, this kid is more dirty than this one. It seems that there are only the three of us on the second floor tonight. The rooms are still connected. You can come to me if you need anything. My name is Amu. Amu took the initiative to chat with Guangxi and his wife Point originally. The two were just polite, but Amu continued, I'm a real ghost type trainer, not the one I think I am. If you find traces of ghost type Pokémon, remember to tell me. Now, the trust level of Hiroshi and his wife has been greatly improved, and after introducing themselves to each other, Emu also notes, it really is Hiroshi and Mizu. But what caught Emma's attention was that Zyraksha is only 4 years old. Immediately, Eminem also realized that, although Zyraksha was always 5 years old in the original work, this is the real Pokémon world, 4 years old, probably because Zyraksha was not born yet. Point with her. Two supernatural generals Zyragang and Zyraksha here. Amu has finished laying out the nest tonight, just waiting for the undead to take the bait. Chapter 147 Try. Although Zyragang and Zyraksha had some disturbing associations when they saw the unknown cosplay, but at night, when it was time for the temple fair, the three households on the second floor of Kyankian Hotel all went out to enjoy the atmosphere of the celebration point. Even if Zyraksha didn't come here for this reason, she still wanted to join in the fun at this time. On the one hand, it was because young people love to play. And on the other hand, there were no other guests in the hotel, and it was weird to be empty. Point instead, the streets and alleys were crowded with people. Point as for Zyraksha and his party, as well as Zyraksha's family, they came here to celebrate the temple fair. Zyraksha and the unfamiliar family of three just said hello, while Zyraksha and others went to the temple fair with Amu and Zyraksha. Point there are not only various snacks in the temple fair, but also small game booths such as imitating Pokemon's cry, Pikachu's electric circle, fishing week Dingayu, etc. Although it was not the busiest day on May 28th, it was still full of people and brightly lit. Point while playing, Zyraksha also forgot the tension caused by cosplay. Point it was late at night, and the people on the street gradually decreased, and Zyraksha's face suddenly turned ugly. What's the matter? Amu wondered when he saw this. Could it be that the big one is coming again? Whether it was the float caravan or the street, there was no one pretending to be that girl. Zyraksha suddenly remembered this. Zyraksha and the others were also taken aback when they heard the words, if it's just a person, it's normal not to see it, but there is no cosplayer pretending to be that girl, which is a bit intriguing. Obviously there are people who dress up as ancient soldiers, but no one dresses up as a 1,000-year-old girl. Point. But at this moment, an old and hoarse voice sounded from behind Emu and the others. Of course there won't be any. Every year at this time, there will be young men who claim to see the ghost of a girl, and then in these 3 nights missing one after another happened. So pretending to be like that is absolutely not allowed. When everyone looked back, it was the old lady they had seen in the hotel before, who seemed to be from the shrine. What? Then, isn't Zyragang very dangerous? Zyraksha said worriedly. Zyraksha said sensitively from the side. Wait. How could people disappear every year? If this is the case, the Alliance would have already dealt with it. At this time, Amu nodded secretly for Zyraksha. It was indeed the same as what he thought. How could it be possible for the Alliance to pretend not to see the reason why he disappeared every year? And it's not just young men. A kid saw it today too. Eminem added, children. The old lady was stunned for a moment when she heard the words, but she still said, no matter what, if any of you see it, you must be careful tonight. Amu looked at the old lady suspiciously, always feeling that she was deliberately exaggerating the terrifying atmosphere. Zyraksha, who was already relaxed at the side, obviously became nervous again at this moment. Seeing this, Amu quietly stretched her hand into her waist. Of course, her waist, although I have forgotten the plot of the first generation of animation, and even if I remember it, it may not be of reference significance, but from the perspective of common sense, this old lady, whoosh. At this moment, Zyraksha had decisively thrown the elf ball at the old lady. Ouch. The old lady was hit right on the forehead. Then the empty elf ball fell directly to the ground, and the old lady leaned on her crutches and said angrily, smelly brat. What are you doing? I'm sorry. Zayaheo originally thought that the old lady was a ghost type Pokémon in disguise. The Pokeball is not heavy, but this reaction is definitely not a Pokémon. Otherwise the Pokeball will either be blown away, or bounced away, or will be interfered by the converging light. Whether it can be subdued or not, a direct hit will be interfered of. And the old lady's reaction was obviously human. Zayaheo, apologize quickly. He immediately said sternly, yes, I'm sorry, Zayaheo wanted to say that he just wanted to try. Amu let go of his hand in his waist pocket and said at the same time, it's too shameful. How can you throw a pokeball at the old man? Just apologizing is definitely not enough. The old man, find him to help you clean up the venue later. Zayaheo heard the words, looked at the messy scene of the temple fair, and couldn't help but turn black for a while. What? This is the punishment you deserve. Eminem said sternly. Aren't you also holding hands? Zayaheo said in a tone of don't pretend I didn't see it. But, at this moment, Eminem took out a box of chewing gum in the shape of a pokeball from the pocket of the pokeball, poured out a piece, threw it into his mouth, and started chewing. Zayaheo, yeah. It's so decided, I'll help too. Zayaheo was about to assist, but Amu said, let's go back and look at Zayaheo. This. Zayaheo looked around awkwardly, then patted Zayaheo and said, come on, Zayaheo is just working hard, but Zayaheo is in danger. Zayaheo of course chooses the latter who needs more help. And when Zayaheo heard about the beauty with pink and purple long hair, he immediately turned into a look of lust and soul, and said with an idiotic smile, if she came to me, Zayaheo, you don't have to accompany me, Zayaheo. Seeing Zayaheo symptoms getting worse, Zayaheo took him back to the hotel worriedly. At this moment, Amu thought about it, and said to the old lady, old man, can you tell me about the legend of that girl? Oh. What else do you want to know? There are legends about that person everywhere here, right? The old lady asked back with a sneer. It may not be a sneer, but a matter of temperament, Amu. Zayaheo wanted to stop Amu in a low voice, not wanting him to continue asking these questions. Amu said, no, the legend outside should be a forgery, or maybe it's just a very superficial part. Otherwise, there were wars everywhere in Guandu 1,000 years ago, and men went to the battlefield and failed to return. Every now and then it's happening everywhere, so what's left for legends? The old lady was silent for a while, and then said, if you want to know, come to the shrine to find me tomorrow during the day. When Amu returned to the hotel, he found that Zayaheo family in the other room should have just returned, and there were still some noises. As for the other rooms, there are quite a few things left at this time. Not all the things needed for temple fairs are the same every day. At the beginning, Zayaheo insisted that she would stay up all night, but when it was past 2 o'clock, she also fell asleep with the duck in her arms. Seeing this, Amu helped her put on the quilt. At the same time, Eminem also felt a burst of drowsiness. Gas. Wrong. If it's gas, Eminem should have no resistance. After all, his physical fitness is here. If he can't hold the gas, he can't hold it. And right now, this should be the hypnotic ability of the spiritual level. So Eminem, who has the moon path sequence, still has some resistance on the spiritual level at this time. Chapter 148 Temptation. Eminem took a few deep breaths and silently deepened the psychological suggestion, freeing himself from the drowsiness. At this moment, Eminem heard outside, beautiful lady, wait for me, beautiful big sister, here I come. The two prodigals seem to have been baited. Seeing this, Amu also walked out the door, following behind the two of them. As for the other people in the hotel, they seemed to have fallen asleep at this time. And Zayaheo and Zayaheo came to the high cliff not far away, as if sleepwalking. That is, the location where the stone statue of the girl is. Among them, Zayaheo was blown by the cold wind at this time, suddenly shivered, woke up, and then looked around, showing a puzzled look. But at this moment, on the edge of the cliff, that is, behind the maiden stone looking at the sea, there is a girl with pink and purple long hair standing at the same time with her back to Zayaheo and Zayaheo, looking at the sea. Ah, pretty big sister, wait for me. Xiaoxin ran over without being hypnotized. When passing by Xiaogang, Xiaoxin pushed him away with his buttocks. Big brother, go away. But just when Xiaoxin and Xiaogang rushed to the front, the big sister turned around. The facial features are very blurred. Only a pair of bean eyes are obvious. Xiaoxin and Xiaogang. Whether it is Xiaoxin who is fascinated, or Xiaogang who has not fully awakened, they are all awake in a second at this time. At the same time, a gust of dark wind blows over the bee-night girl. Damn. Guy, are you blaspheming the undead? A cold voice came point in the night sky. In a trance, several phantoms like ghosts gathered in all directions, and then formed a huge ghost. It looks like it's Gissy. That's right. Point, look at the size. A little bigger, not too exaggerated. Point, it's just that the sound and light effect is a little too much, isn't it? Until now, the purple smoke floating around the body of this ghost seems to be howling countless innocent souls. Presenting a picture of a ghost prison. Seeing this, Coffin immediately changed into the appearance of Zheng Jiui to strengthen his courage. But Zheng Jiui looked very shameless in front of this ghost, especially Zheng Jiui with bean eyes. Hello, Mr. Ghost, I mean nothing. Eminem came out from behind. Oh, really? I don't believe it, Gissy said with a sneer, and then saw the energy of the ghost system gushing out, and countless wronged souls burst out from the cloud behind it, and rushed straight to Eminem. To be reasonable, this should be Shadow Ball. In the videos of high-end competitions, Eminem has also seen this kind of superb performance in skill mastery. You can turn the normal hole, Shadow Ball, into the application of the shotgun mode, but this is all because of its effect of using Sky Overlord evil demons and monsters. At this time, my frog flower is in front of Eminem. It is a hold, and really hold for a moment. Eminem suspected that the opponent did not try his best, although hold is a magical skill in the game, except for some special skills, or Z skills, super giant skills, etc. Otherwise they can hold, but in this real Pokémon world, if the strength is too poor, it will not be able to defend. Point, it's impossible for Arceus to sanction light gravel over there, and the weak mermaid hold here will be unharmed. In fact, the difference in combat power is more than double. And hold often cannot be completely defended. Point, it is reasonable to say that with the race value of Gissy, even if it is a full level and full matched Gissy, it is normal for the frog flower to be able to defend it. But looking at its sound and light effects, Eminem instinctively feels that it is showing mercy up. Of course, Eminem was just guessing, but he didn't dare to be careless at all. Point, although in the animation, this ghost is just for scaring and playing. In fact, it is not serious at all. But the nagging old lady in the animation is also changed by it. Now it is obviously not, and you can't just watch the plot of the animation. My frog flower stretched out its vine at this time, trying to entangle Gissy, but even with the power of the grass element, it was unable to touch the opponent's entity, and instead her body floated up, and was thrown hard. Point, the coffin in the form of Jengo strubbed a Shadow Ball with his hands at this time, but was also dodged by the opponent. Like a cloud of smoke, after going around in a circle, a bump from the back sent the coffin flying out. GG, are you tickling me? GUIC snid provocatively. Point, at this time, the naughty thunderbolt swept over with a 100,000 volts. Although the electricity type cannot restrain the ghost type, Eminem has a kind of mysterious trust when he sees the lightning strike the ghost. Point, however, the electric light just swept across a group of ghosts, and the ghosts dissipated on the spot, and the ghosts had disappeared, leaving only after images floating in place like ghosts. Naughty Laden hurriedly guarded left and right, but found no trace of the other party. GG, where are you looking? Gissy's voice sounded from behind Armu. Point immediately felt a chill all over his neck starting from his neck, and it was too late to react, so GUIC directly gave a tongue lick. This is not just a matter of licking with a tongue, but using the energy of the ghost system to invade into the body, interfere with the target's nerve center, so it can cause paralysis. But at this moment, Eminem felt a heat in his lower abdomen. Immediately, the coldness in the body was instantly dispelled. Point, it's not some suspicious medicine, but at first, Eminem didn't realize it himself, and then a ball of fire appeared in his mind naturally, and there was a feather in the fire. Only then did he understand. It was the power of immortal flame that was activated. Theoretically, the fire element has nothing to do with the ghost element, but this is not the general fire element power, but the vitality manifested as fire. After all, the ghost system symbolizes the power of coldness and death, and immortal flame represents the power of Feng Wang and Xerneas, who are also known for their vitality among the beasts. Not only did it appear in Eminem's spirit, but it also bloomed in reality. Gissy, who was pounced on Eminem, seemed to be scalded by the invisible flame that suddenly appeared and retreated again and again. This is Guic was stunned when he saw this and then sneered, "GGG, you wait for me. You will all be dragged into the abyss of eternal despair. GGG." At the same time, there was only a sound of hurried running. Xiaoxia, and Guangxi and his wife were chasing after him under the guidance of a pure white little York, while Gissy turned around and disappeared out of thin air, as if shrinking into a black hole. "Xiao. Gang, Armu, what's wrong?" Xiaoxin. "Are you okay?" Seeing that their companion/son was fine, everyone breathed a sigh of relief, and at the same time, learned what happened just now from Xiao Gang and Xiaoxin. As for the reason why they are here, it is because Xiao Bei is usually released to sleep at night. After discovering that Xiaoxin was not there, Xiao Bei woke up Hiroshi and Miya, and also woke up Xiaoxi and Xiaoxi in the next room. Xiao Bei followed Xiaoxin's taste, and the others followed Xiao Bei all the way to here point, and at this moment, the first ray of morning sun appeared on the eastern sea, that the stone statue of the girl was watching. One can't help but think that the ghost just left, because it was dawn. Of course, this is even less Pokémon. Although Zheng Jiyui's family is like most ghost type Pokémon, they like darkness and dislike light. But it's not to the extent that they can't see the sun, they just don't like it. Otherwise, wouldn't Maya spend a sunny day to solve it long ago? Chapter 149. It is said, "Sorry, with today's weather, the possibility of accidents is too great. Even if there are white sea lions, I can't take this risk." The owner explained to Xiaoxia helplessly. "The sea weather is really changeable. Maiden Gorge town is alright here, but looking at the sea to the east, you can clearly see a large cloud at this time, just in the direction of the estuary of the strait, blocking the entire estuary to death. In this warning weather, the owner of the ship, who claimed to have 3 white sea lions, did not dare to go to sea. Naturally, other routes are also suspended. It doesn't matter. Originally, I also wanted to inform Uncle today that you will stay for 2 more days, and you are not in a hurry to go to sea." Xiaoxia naturally didn't mean to laugh at Uncle the owner, and last night, no, to be precise, it was in the early hours of this morning, when something like that happened. Originally Xiaoxia wasn't planning to go to sea today. For other people on the island, although the weather outside the strait is weird, because the island is still sunny, but the wind is a little stronger, so they continue to play music, and continue to dance. After all, there are still 2 days left before the celebration. Originally, there were not many tourists who planned to leave the island today. The very few tourists who were delayed and unable to leave the island also changed their moods and prepared to play for another 2 days. Only the cursed Xiao Gang and Xiaoxin, no, to be precise, only Xiao Gang's companions and Xiaoxin's parents were very impatient at this moment, lest something might happen again tonight. As for Xiao Gang and Xiaoxin, they were frightened in the early hours of the morning, but at this time they have fallen into the logic of the color is bigger than the sky. I don't know if it's all because of my nature or if I was hypnotized. It's hard to define. As for Eminem, at this time, he had already arrived at the shrine of the girl. The second day of the celebration started, and there was also a temple fair during the day, so there were not many people in the shrine, and all activities were held on the celebration street. Tomorrow will be the real celebration day, and there will be corresponding activities in the shrine. At this time, Amu walked in all the way and did not see a figure until he came to the main club, that is, the old lady from before. At this time, the other party was worshipping in front of the statue, and this so-called god statue was also the girl's prayer statue. "Grandma, in the early hours of this morning, something happened to my friend and a child," Eminem said proactively. The old lady turned her head to look at him and said, "Come in and sit down, Eminem." was also polite and just found a cushion and sat down. The old lady said before that any man who sees her will disappear within these 3 days. The old lady said hoarsely, but Amu obviously felt that what Zioheo said made sense. Point. If it's just an unverifiable strange talk, of course it doesn't matter. If people really disappeared every year, the Alliance and Junsha would have come to investigate long ago, and they might even cancel the celebration. What? The old man said he's missing in the past 3 days. Seeing that she didn't frighten Amu, the old lady emphasized it. It was during these 3 days that they disappeared one after another. They would usually be found after the celebration, and then they would be unconscious for a few days. The old lady said as a matter of course. Slim Shady, that's it. From this point of view, that ghost was just bluffing. If it was only missing for 2 or 3 days, it would not cause too much trouble. After all, in the Pokémon world, there are many mysterious incidents of this level, and it may even bring the reputation of Maiden Gorge. The legend about that girl. Eminem still wanted to confirm whether there was any hidden secret in this matter. 1,000 years ago, the Kanto area was in chaos, and there were forces divided by families everywhere, driving Pokémon to attack each other. Although the families that occupied this place at that time were not as strong as Senju and Uchiha, they were also at counts similarly. When Uchiha, Senju and the others plotted the power of the beasts, the families here were also acting with the goal of the beasts. The old lady said slowly about these records that I don't know where they came from. Then, the family here is. Eminem wanted to ask for the specific name point, but the old lady shook her head and said, I don't know anymore. Because of the failure 1,000 years ago, the elite of the family here perished, so when the era of Ninja Village came, they became unknown. They all died in several battles in the village era. Otherwise, even without the power of the beasts, they should still be an important family of Konoha. Die. It sounds so fierce. Amu couldn't help asking, then what kind of beast are they targeting, Rabbi? The old lady knew this just hearing this answer. Eminem was at a loss. The cute Shirabi? In various theater versions, one of the best bullyable cute animals, even if things in this world cannot be referred to the original work, but was Rabbi so fierce? The legendary Shirabi who can travel through the long river of time and absorb and use the ripples of time. Amu confirmed it. Probably hearing the doubts in Eminem's tone, the old lady further explained. According to the legend, the family that occupied this place at that time sent all their elites to a small island not far overseas. It is said that at that time there appeared after the time ripple. Celebi will also appear there. No one knew what happened after that, but no one came back. And the stone statue you see on the beach is not an ordinary girl who gazed at the eastern sea for her lover. She was the chosen one who could carry the power of Rabbi, as the family believed at that time, just like Senju Hashirama, Uchiha Madara. There is another saying that she was born with the ability to feel the power of time ripples, and she sensed the location where time ripples appeared. Among those fallen elites, there was indeed her lover. Some said it was the leader of the family at that time, some said it was the strongest trainer in the family at that time, and some said it was an unknown clansman at that time. In short, for to guide them back, she overactivated the power of time ripples, causing herself to be petrified. Eminem understands it clearly. If it is the last twilight of the powerful family at that time, then it is not surprising that this past has become a legend and has been passed down to this day. Then, what do you know about that ghost? Amu suddenly asked. What the hell? I don't know. The old lady said, obviously insincerely. Seeing that Eminem was silent, she added, forget it, just wait for 2 more days, and then you will find your friend. Wait, my friend is not missing. I repel that ghost. Amu corrected. What? The old lady suddenly stared at Eminem with wide eyes, as if very surprised. After a while, she gradually regained her shock and murmured, so, seeing that she seemed to be thinking about something, Amu didn't bother her. After a while, the old lady stood up without saying anything, and then took out a small box from under the statue. It is said that incident has happened exactly 1,000 years ago. It is also said that with this, you can find the place where the ripples of time appear. It is also said that the soldiers who disappeared back then have not yet completely rested. The old lady handed the box to Amu, said nothing after that, and prayed to the idol again. Ignoring Armu opened the old wooden box and took a look and found a headband inside. Although there was no ninja village at that time, there was already a custom of tying the family crest on the head. Unfortunately, Armu didn't know it. What kind of family does the family crest of the ghost that looks like an abstract stick figure belong to? Chapter 150 The Boat. How on earth is this used? Eminem looked at the strap with a puzzled look. Zyraksha heard it from the side and immediately said, "How can I use it? Of course I don't need it. You couldn't beat even a ghost yesterday, so why bother with a group of dead ghosts? No, 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 we want to talk about Pokémon and science. That should be the ghost brought by the soldiers back then." Eminem insisted that there are no ghosts in the world. How much is the race value of Gassi? How can there be such a strong Gassi? Zyraksha obviously did not agree with this statement. Eminem really wants to say that he has seen such a strong Cassie, and we just need to inform Junsha or tell you teacher Jumu. Zyraksha said a very safe way. No, there will be more than 30 hours. That is, when the 1000 year period is just over, time ripples will appear at that time, and now, people outside can't get in at all. Eminem said, looking at the sea. There was wind and rain in the distance, so you can't get out too? Zyraksha looked at me with doubts. You still know that you can't get out, so can you lend me the Gyarados? Amu said shyly. No. Zyraksha refused without thinking. Borrowing the Gyarados is a trivial matter, but now Emu obviously wants to take risks, so of course Zyraksha doesn't agree. Let's go to eat first, and then we will think about Zyaragang's affairs. Zyraksha said instead. Sure enough, no boats would go out to sea at this time, and Zyraksha didn't stop Eminem. Anyway, he didn't have any aquatic Pokémon that he could ride, so he couldn't go anywhere. Yes. Amu touched her growling stomach, then said helplessly. And just after Zyraksha left first, the old man who was fishing at the side stopped and said, "Young man, did you quarrel with your girlfriend?" The old man was wearing a koi raincoat with a towel tied on his head, and he looked like a typical elderly fisherman. "No, it's a female friend, and there is no quarrel." Eminem emphasized the relationship. "It's nice to be young. I also knew a man who had many female friends, and he died later." The old man spoke very unpleasantly. Slim Shady. Actually, the wind and waves are not too big, right? If the place you want to go is not far away, I can take you there at night. The old fisherman said. "I want to see you." Hearing this, Amu twitched the corners of her mouth slightly and instinctively stretched her hands towards her waist. "Really? That's really great. I don't know how far it is, and I'll show you the way then." Eminem asked the old man directly, "Hey, what are you talking to yourself there?" Zyraksha had already walked a few meters away and found that Eminem hadn't followed. "It's coming." Eminem replied quickly. When I turned my head, I found that the old man was gone, but Amu didn't seem surprised, but went to eat with Zyraksha as usual. In the afternoon, Eminem came to the Pokémon Center. It happened suddenly, but in the end Eminem decided to exchange Jenga and Pixie first. "Good afternoon, Dr. Sakuragi. Did you enjoy your trip to Maiden Gorge?" Mew estimated that Dr. Sakuragi may have contacted Zyraksha, so he knew that Amu was also in Maiden Gorge. In addition, Eminem felt that Dr. Sakuragi's expression was a bit reluctant, so he quickly changed the subject and said, "Fortunately, it's just Zyaragang." "Oh, Zyaragang's matter. I heard Zyraksha mention it." "It doesn't matter. I checked the records. There are no records of missing tourists in Maiden Gorge in recent years. Some reported that Junsha disappeared, and they were all found later." Sakura. Dr. Mew obviously heard Zyraksha talk about it before. "By the way, doctor, how about the haunted thing in your place?" "No, these 2 days have been quite peaceful." "Then, Genji Ui and Pai Kexi, I will take them back for 2 days first, and then trouble Dr. Sakuragi." Eminem said immediately. Taking advantage of the fact that Dr. Sakuragi didn't have too much trouble with Ghost Stone and Pippi, Eminem decided on his own that they will go to foster care in 2 days. Okay. Dr. Sakuragi was an honest person, so he didn't say much in the end point. After Eminem retrieved Ghost Stone and Pippi, the two little cuties were still a little unfinished, and they didn't know what they were playing in Dr. Sakurage's research institute point. But after Eminem told them what they were about to do, Ghost Stone and Pippi's attention was immediately attracted by Eminem. It's Millennium Legend and Shrabby again. Obviously Eminem's side is more exciting point. It's almost midnight at night. At this time, Xiaozi, Xiaoheo and Xiaoxia specially brought Xiaoxin's family along to guard Xiaogang and Xiaoxin. Xiaozi and Guangxi didn't know where to buy several amulets of cleanliness, but at this moment, the few people who were still awake suddenly felt drowsy. This time, even Xiaobei was not spared, and only Amu became more energetic under the psychological hint point. Not only is it much earlier than yesterday, but, this time, Amu waited for a while, but there was no reaction from Xiaogang and Xiaoxin, so he couldn't help but secretly said, sure enough. Eminem got up directly, and walked towards the port. There were no people along the way, and the direction of the temple fair in the distance was also quiet. Only the staff who were cleaning up the venue point, and when they came to the port, it was even more lonely. But, the old man I saw during the day is still there, and the boat is ready. It was only then that Eminem discovered that his boat was actually just a small sampan. Not only small, but also human powered. Let's go. The more the weather is like this, the more big fish there will be. The old man looked like he didn't see the thunder and lightning in the distance. You always feel, how should this be used? Eminem asked while holding the strap. How do you use it? Since it's a bandage, it's bound to your head. The old man said as a matter of course. And at this time, Eminem found that the turban on his head had been replaced with the same bandage as himself. It also had the same family crest on it. After Eminem confirmed, he tied the strap on his head. Immediately, Amu felt a coolness between his brows, as if he had become sensitive to some kind of fluctuation. It was as if there was a gust of wind, although it was weak. It could blow directly between the eyebrows and into Emu's brain. This way. Eminem pointed towards the direction where the invisible wind was blowing. The old man was sitting in the boat, paddling the wooden paddle, and Eminem jumped into the boat quickly. The old man's rowing is really not slow, and most of the figure gradually became transparent, and the remaining head also turned into a black and purple ghost image, just like a ghost, although the effect of the divine light is not full. But Eminem instinctively felt that it was the one in the early morning. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.